example, Trump's been briefed. When I know, for example, Trump's been briefed, he's scared. He's scared they're going to kill him if he reveals what he knows.
You can do it, baby. I love you so much. You can do it, baby. I love you so much.
He's scared.
You can do it, baby. I love you so much. You can do it, baby. I love you so much.
He's scared.
Bad news, bad things are happening. Mom, I'm sorry. Bad news, bad things are happening. Mom, I'm sorry.
He's scared.
Bad news, bad things are happening. Mom, I'm sorry. Bad news, bad things are happening. Mom, I'm sorry.
He's scared.
This David Grush guy sounds like a nut. This David Grush guy sounds like a nut. This David Grush guy sounds like a nut. This David Grush guy sounds like a nut.
We build craft that look like their craft. They build craft that look like ours. Drones. We build craft that look like their craft. They build craft that look like ours. Drones. We build craft that look like their craft. They build craft that look like ours. Drones. We build craft that look like their craft. They build craft that look like ours. Drones.
You can do it, baby. I love you so much.
We build craft that look like their craft. They build craft that look like ours.
You can do it, baby. I love you so much.
We build craft that look like their craft. They build craft that look like ours.
If I call your mother a hooker, I don't care. If I call your mother a hooker, I don't care. If I call your mother a hooker, I don't care. If I call your mother a hooker, I don't care. I'm an intel guy. 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 I don't care. I'm an intel guy. That we're making movies and video games out of. My spirit guides from me. They came from me. They came from me. They came from me. Creative arts that we're making movies and video games out of. My spirit guides from me. They came from me. They came from me. They came from me. Dream revolution, whatever you want to call it. I call it my intellectual property. Dream revolution, whatever you want to call it. I call it my intellectual property. Dream revolution, whatever you want to call it. I call it my intellectual property. Dream revolution, whatever you want to call it. I call it my intellectual property. Fleet is a fictional space group out in space. It is the story. It is the story. It is the story. It is the story. Fleet is a fictional space group out in space. It is the story. It is the story. It is the story. It is the story. Yes, I did make up stories about the secret space program out in space. Yes, I did make up stories about the secret space program group. Yes, I did make up stories about the secret space program out in space. Yes, I did make up stories about the secret space program group.
Dark corners of the night, secrets hidden from the light. Whispers turn to screams, shattering all your dreams. Eyes wide open now, truth you can't disavow. Echoes through the halls, crashing all your walls. Truth seekers
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. I have been enjoying taking a break from the land of UFO weirdos, but here we are back again on track and ready to attack. One of the reasons that I've been trying to take a break from all of that stuff is that it gets quite monotonous. After all, with people making ridiculous claims, but never quite having any evidence. This is a common theme that you will find because what you get in UFO land is stories, but you rarely get evidence. And when there is evidence, a lot of it is bull. And tonight we're going to be talking about this Jake Barber and the Skywatcher. I'm calling it the Skywatcher scam already. Because they're pretending that they're going to be very scientific and release the data. But then when somebody asks them for their data, crickets. They're too busy making fancy, over-dramatized videos of things like flapping birds and balloons, right? So they say in their writings, they're going to be sharing the data. But then the data doesn't actually get shared. When somebody asks them for it, they don't even get a reply. And by the way, I am aware so far that Mick West has asked them for the data. And today I have asked them for the data and crickets. So there's two fairly well-known, I'm sure more people know of Mick West than me, but two fairly well-known skeptics so far have asked them for the data and gotten no reply. So this idea that they're a scientific organization or this is a scientific endeavor is a joke. They're not doing science, they're doing entertainment, and we're going to show you that tonight. We'll also be, because there's not much going on tonight, usually we try to stick to one topic, right? But tonight we'll be splitting things up. We'll be talking about this Jake Barber and the Skywatcher scam. You remember them. They're the ones that showed us a video of flapping birds and said it was an alien spaceship battle that they captured. Very scientific. Then we're going to be talking about Bob Lazar because if you didn't know, there's a new money grab documentary called S4 that has been in production for some 3 years. This is what I will say about it. I'm sure it's going to be better than Jeremy Corbell's shitball documentary that was garbage. But what I'm predicting is for that Bob Lazar documentary, there will be no new information, but they are showing some never before seen footage. But that footage looks like outtakes from when Bob made the documentary style VHS tape that he was selling to stupid people and morons, including this one. I bought it when I was a kid. Called the Government Bible, excerpts from the Government Bible. That's what the new footage is. It looks like alternate takes that he didn't use in his original VHS. I don't know. Maybe Bob gave that to them or what. Looks like there's Gene Huff is involved and George Knapp is involved, but curiously no Jeremy Corbell. Because I don't know, rumors and speculation, but the rumor mill is that Jeremy Corbell is no longer in the good graces of the Bob Lazar camp and profiteers all around him. And then we get to Stephen Greer, who is once again pushing this fake whistleblower. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. The whistleblower term is thrown around so much. They're calling Bob Lazar the original whistleblower. Well, he's had 30 years to show some evidence, and he hasn't. Therefore, he's not a whistleblower. He's a storyteller. Same with this Michael Herrera that Stephen Greer has got his UFO boner out for, right? The guy claimed that he saw basically a back-engineered alien spaceship being used while he was in the military on a mission. But his commanding officer has come out and said, none of the shit he said ever happened. He was never out of my sight. I was his commanding officer every day. This encounter that he claimed he had with his so-called team never happened. But yet Stephen Greer is still pushing this guy as a so-called whistleblower. He's already been busted. And we want to take a moment to thank some kind and generous folks already in the live chat. Colin Christensen with big support. Big ups to Colin Christensen. Thank you very much for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. Thank you for appreciating us. We certainly appreciate you. And for those unaware, I'll be reading every single super chat. We have a meager goal tonight of 50 super chats, any denomination. So even $1 counts towards the goal. And if we hit the goal tonight, we'll do some overtime. Though I'm okay with no overtime. I had a very long day today. One of my children had a half day, which just ruins my whole day, because then I can't get anything done. My schedule is thrown off, and it's just draining. I'm not a early to bed, early to rise person. I'm a night owl, and so my wife takes the early shift, getting them ready and getting them on the bus, and I take the afternoon shift, getting them off the bus, snacks and dinner and all that stuff. Much prefer that. We'll take a couple of comments before we begin. Zamolda Bob is a genius level con man. He's so likable and down to earth. It's easy to be fooled. Yeah, I believed him. I mean, I grew up believing him. It wasn't until I sort of became a serious researcher and was able to pick apart his story that I learned what a con artist. And, for those unaware, Bob Lazar is not a scientist. He's a fake scientist. His whole education is fake. His only education was one electronics course at Pierce Junior College. And I don't really think that a government agency in charge of the most secret technology in the world is going to hire a guy that went to community college to back engineer things. So that's just my take. But thank you, Zamalias, for the comment. And then we've got Animes 32 with one for the goal. Here's my daily credits. Good. We're going to need, 48 more of you to pay the tithe of the day. Even if it's just $1, we'll get to the goal. And on a serious note on the support issue, some of my audience are kind of upset with me that I'm covering other topics, and they want me to only cover UFO topics or paranormal topics or whatever they prefer. And, we've grown a pretty good sized channel doing that. But the problem is that sometimes the support is just not there. It's just not there. So if you're somebody that wants to see me continue to cover these guys like tonight, Jake Barber, Bob Lazar, and Stephen Greer, then please support the show. Because if you don't support these shows, there will be less and less of them going forward. I'm going to be getting into true crime. We're going to be felting Bigfoot frauds and hoaxers, kind of like felting the UFO hoaxers and fraudsters, and some other things. And we may start covering some other stuff from the Sectorverse, right? The Snortex, because to be very honest with you, that is profitable. People like that content so much, and they support that content because they want to see more of it. And I'm thankful for all the support that we have gotten thus far, covering, UFOs and aliens and fake psychics and scammers. But in order for me to actually do this full time, there has to be some changes, because, relying solely on the UFO stuff, and I get it, by the way, part of the reason I can't make a lot of money doing UFO stuff is because we do it honestly. I'm not selling a lie or a fantasy. People are willing to pay you to sell them a lie or a fantasy, but the truth is very much unappreciated, especially by true believers. They just don't want to hear. They don't want to hear that their so-called heroes are lying scumbag grifter con artists. But that's the reality. And what the funny thing is, when people try to argue with me about this, I can show you 100 different times that one of these people has straight scammed the public for money and gotten away with it. There's never any consequences. People don't want to hear that. Just give me my disclosure boner. Tell me the aliens are real and visiting, and let me jerk off to the sweet sounds of the alien spooge goodness that you're shoveling at me. It's unfortunate, but this is just the reality, and I get it. Not only when you start a podcast, you really should be in a niche, but the problem is that the UFO and alien stuff is a niche, but then the skeptical side of it is an even smaller niche, and it's unwanted and unappreciated by most of the UFO fans. Now, I know we have a very skeptical crowd here, And there's many of what I call damaged disciples here who, like me, used to believe all these people until they started educating themselves and, fact checking these people. But I just want to put it out there that I would appreciate more support so that I can continue to cover these subjects. Not that I would just suddenly drop it completely, but there may be, like this week, there's one show covering this stuff because there's not much going on. Robert P with one for the goal. Oh, that's a super chat. A pixelated hippo chops on a tube. On a one up? I don't know. But thank you for I'm sorry my software doesn't translate that. Railroad Bum is here with 5. Steve, I'm glad you are felting this nonsense. Classic truth seekers, thank you. This is why I started watching you. Love the new content as well. Great. There's a happy customer, right? Give the audience what they want. But, there does reach a point where you have to say, I do have to make a living, right? So I'm turning into Dark Side Phil. I'm going to wage quit UFOs if things don't turn around significantly. I'm just going to wage quit, right? Because there's other skeptical shows. I used to think I'm the only skeptic really doing this, so I have to keep going. No, there's other people now. But thank you, Railroad Bump, for your kindness, generosity, and support. Big support. And we want to take a moment to welcome in the Kick live chatters as well. The YouTube live chat is really filling up, and we're going to check over on kick.com. For those unaware, we have a kick.com channel now. And I somehow just went to lick.com. That wasn't good. Good thing I wasn't sharing my screen. All right. We're going to check in with the Kick live chat. I see Ray Gunner is over there. Vorden Haas is over there. Rex, and pardon me, the chat over there is really small and hard for me to read. Ultimate TND is over there. Diaper Fur is there. We have Rex Heiss, I think it's 888, Zoomer Dylan, Crazy Warlock, and more. If I missed you, I apologize. Welcome you, wage quitting. Somebody's joking about me wage quitting UFOs, right? It's like Phil says, people aren't going to support this game. I'm just going to quit, and I'll go build Legos or something, right? I will go build Legos. And I want to apologize because we always call out, just so you're aware, if I ever do this, I make good. We always call out every single person who supports us, whether it's a super chat, a gifted YouTube membership, becoming a member during a live show, becoming a subscriber during a live show on Kick. We call out every single person and we thank them. And last night, I believe that I forgot to thank one person who gifted a sub. And that was Chorgon Scormhammer gifted a sub. And somehow, I don't know how, but I somehow missed, oh no, that was today. Okay. All right. Well, big ups and big thanks to Chorgon Scormhammer, who gifted a sub. The one that I forgot was last night late in the show. That was April 8th. Bolt Action Loser also gifted a sub. So big support over on Kick. We love it. Thank you, guys. You're giving me an extra paycheck every month. Imagine, friends, if you suddenly, instead of getting 4 checks a month, you're getting 5. It really does help. It makes a huge difference for myself and my family and some goals we have. I'm going to be using that extra Kick money for some of my wife's honey-do list for materials. She's got a lot of projects for me around here. She wants a whole remodeled kitchen, but that's like $20,000. So we compromised, and I'm going to be refinishing and painting and new hardware for all the cabinets. I'm putting a new floor in. We're getting a couple new appliances, probably resurfacing the countertops that were there, just freshening it up. But that cabinet paint is expensive, friends. So thank you for helping me attack the honey-do list. And we have Zamali's with one for the goal. We need a DSP sampler bag to get this started. All right. I'll do my best, Zamalias, and thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Big support from Zamalias. All right, we'll try to do the Dark Side Phil beggar sampler. For those that don't know, he basically tries to get one of each thing. So come on, friends, let's get some support tonight for these UFO shows. Let's get a YouTube super chat. Let's get a YouTube super sticker. Let's get a PayPal pledge. Let's get somebody to buy me a coffee. Let's get some YouTube gifted memberships. And also, let's get some Kick subscribers. Let's get some gifted Kick subscribers. And let's get some new YouTube members. Just hit that join button. We'll get one of each of the money flowing into the coffers, overflowing with support. I'm not a beggar as Darkside Phil, but that's my best way to do that. Rotary Motion, hearing the call of the beggar sampler. And he gifted a True Seekers membership. This is why you got to hit that subscribe button, friends, because when you do that, you could win a free membership. You have to be a subscriber to win these free memberships. And Uncle Andy, Uncle Andy was gifted a free membership by Rotary Motion, who's been a longtime show supporter, and thank you for that, Rotary Motion. And then we've got Your Orc Not News says, I'm glad you're calling out the frauds, hanging out until the casino opens tonight. Thanks, Steve. Oh, yeah, we got to get Motor in here. I feel like there's a hard limit, and I lose like half the audience when 8:30 comes. Some people hold out till 9 o'clock. You know, they like watch. They don't sit through the music, but we appreciate all of you Kino friends as well. Review Tech Mongolia is here with some big support. One for the goal. Never hurts to diversify content. Praise the booty. Wow, very, very kind of you. Thank you. Yeah, praise the booty. Yes, I got so many messages today because yesterday I said praise the hot skinny wife or praise the hot thin wife. And I'm sorry, but if you are married and your wife looks the same now as the day you married her, like you're lucky. Praise the hot. I didn't mean it as an insult, right? And women, that's all I'm going to say. But thank you, Review Tech Mongolia. Any more, I'll get myself in trouble. Colin Christensen says, "Wow, here's very, very kind of you. A $50 super chat says, here's more money to keep felting Bob Lazar. I hate that whoremonger." Whoa, whoremonger, Jesus Christ, Colin. Yeah, he's a convicted pimp. And by the way, I spoke to one of the ladies of the night that worked at that brothel who said he was a greedy bastard and he tried to take every dime he could from those girls. Colin Christensen, that just shows you what kind of scumbag he is, right? Poor girl's getting on her back trying to earn a living. You're going to take all her money. Thank you, Colin Christensen. Very, very generous of you. Big support from Colin Christensen. Yeah, let's get 10 more of those, and then I'm over bitterness about support. I'll be good. Just 10 more of those. Yeti Orc Not News, remodeling the kitchen. DSP can't buy a toilet. I have to replace a toilet also. But thank you for that. Very, very kind of you. Praise the cash, bitches. And we're already doing very good on our goal. We've got 8 of 50, and we haven't even begun tonight's presentation. So let's get the festivities going. I'm going to put my fair use banner up and remind any would-be copyright claim pirates that what we do here is fair use. I'll be sharing these videos, but this is a transformative work. We're educating the public. So we're going to begin with the Skywatcher story, I think. They have a new episode out here, which is ridiculous. And I don't want to forget, too, that the Bledsoes got caught selling a satellite as a alien spaceship again, right? All right, but before we begin on the actual video, I think it's important that we put this on the record. Mick West is a well-known UFO skeptic and just all around, science-minded guy. Yeah, and I don't know if my wife is listening, but that's a good idea. My son fills up that PS5 so fast, so we got to get him another hard drive. Skywatcher HQ is being called out by one Mick West because they say in their literature that they are crowdsourcing it to the broader scientific community. In the context of Skywatcher, for example, we might release the data publicly. Data sharing, that's a big point. And so Mick says, hey, Skywatcher paper describing the multi-stage framework of investigating UAP is actually quite good. In stage 4, where they are now, they discuss crowdsourcing the analysis and releasing the data to the public. Why have they not done this? And Here we see him say, "Did you receive all the data you requested yet?" And Mick West says, "I have not heard back." So this organization, Skywatcher HQ, is actively, telling people that they're going to share the data, but they're not actually going to share the data. I've asked them, Mick West has asked them, crickets. So where's the data? Here's what I think is happening, my friends. The data is shit. The data they have is garbage. And we know that because they're showing us, videos of objects in the sky where you could clearly see flapping wings, and they're claiming that's an alien spaceship dogfight that they captured on film. These UFO guys are so thirsty to see alien spaceships that they let themselves get fooled by stuff as stupid as birds. And you could clearly, in the video they shared, zoom in. We showed it before, and you see flapping birds. You see the wings of flapping birds. These are not alien spaceships. They're goddamn birds. And if you morons from Skywatcher Scam don't know the difference between flapping birds and alien spaceships, you're always going to be seeing alien spaceships. So this is the second episode. By the way, they're basically making their own television show. So remember, friends, this isn't about science. This is all about entertainment. They're setting themselves up for a TV show. They're likening themselves to Skinwalker Ranch, and they're actively trying to get a TV show. That's what these things are. These are pilots or demos, in my opinion, for them to try to get a TV show deal. So the last one they showed us flapping birds, and I think, I don't know, a light in the sky that they claimed was aliens or anomalous. And I really don't believe that it was, but this is the second installment of this. So let's begin.
In part one of Skywatcher, you heard a lot of very believable people making truly unbelievable claims.
They weren't very believable
Skywatcher's
people. They're
objective is to
wackadoos.
use the scientific method to validate or invalidate these claims and hopefully usher in a new understanding of reality.
And who is this guy? This is the Cash guy that's from the SALT conference, where they're pumping aliens suddenly for profit and trying to get funding for alien stuff, like alien research.
For Skywatcher Part 2, our focus is on data. In this episode, you will meet James Fowler. James runs the technology team here at Skywatcher, and over the past few years, he has put together what I consider to be, by far, the highest...
That last one looked like a bag floating in the fucking sky. You know how many times I've seen somebody say, look at this UFO video, and it's you know how a plastic bag can get picked up by the wind?
Put together what I consider to be, by far, the highest...
That looks like a bag floating in the wind.
...quality private repository of UAP data in the world.
The highest quality repository of UAP data. And yet the best they could show us is a bag floating in the sky. The best they could show us is flapping birds, but they have the highest quality data on UFOs or UAP in the world.
For the first time, James has agreed to be interviewed on camera, and we will be releasing the data that he's collected over the past many years.
When? When are they releasing it? Or are they just putting it in a video so they can get a TV show?
Desert, running our second Skywatcher event of the year. As you've heard about, we're focused on two different types of UAP.
Oh, by the way, the location that they are at doing this is perhaps one of the worst locations you could possibly do Skywatches looking for UFOs for. And we'll get into reasons for that. Effectively, there are military bases all around where they're doing this. That's a problem.
Calling. We have machine calling and we have psionic calling. We've had success.
Oh yeah, the psychics
with both
call.
of these different
call
types.
the aliens.
But over the past few days, on the machine calling side, we've witnessed a lot of...
But remember, friends, in order for the alien summoning stuff to work, you have to be a left-handed gay man that sucks cocks, or maybe a left-handed lesbian that, you know, I don't know, munches kitties, right? You know, like they actually said that in order to summon the UFOs, it works best if you are a left-handed homosexual. Why is that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know why it got to be left-handed and gay in order to summon the aliens. Maybe the aliens are gay, right? And they only want to interact with dudes that want to be butt banged. You know, all that anal probing? Maybe they want to butt bang humans and they'll only answer the call of humans who are willing to get butt banged. I don't know. This is not, and I'm not making this up. They actually said that in order to summon UFOs, it works best if you're left-handed and homosexual. I don't know what the left-handed thing is about. Do these guys just like left-handed handies? I don't know. You ever give yourself a handy with your left hand if you're right-handed? It's kind of weird.
Spectacular things. Every time we have an event, we have things happen that I truly cannot explain.
Just because you can't explain them doesn't mean it's anomalous. These guys are out here trying to find something mysterious to sell the public.
And the rest of our team are doing our very best to collect a robust set of data to share with all of you. But I hope you can understand that it's not as easy as it sounds. We're talking about objects that seemingly are able to appear and disappear in real time.
Is Babla's
We're
up
talking
the
about objects
DSP
that
of
seem
the
to
UFO
evade
world?
our sensors.
Yes, definitely.
They seem
And
to
thank you
actually
for the support.
turn our sensors off at times. And I can say firsthand that crazy shit keeps happening. I consider myself to be a very logical, rational
Mongolia,
person.
the
This
left hand is the
rabbit
jerking
hole-
hand,
The rabbit hole
allegedly.
of UAPs and consciousness has been
Allegedly,
hands down
yes.
the
Thank you for your
craziest
support.
experience
Praise
of my
cash, bitches. So, what he said is that the aliens are turning their equipment off. This is very common for people to claim. Like, oh, the batteries in my camera suddenly went dead when we had the encounter, or whatever. Just because equipment fails doesn't mean aliens or UFOs are doing it. I'm sorry. I've just become way too skeptical. And these guys are just the latest in a long line of people that are trying to monetize their curiosity, you know, and cash in on UFOs.
Today, we had a Class 7 come in about 3,000 feet, 135-degree heading.
By the way, these classes, they just made up shit. They have their own classification system for what class the UFO is, right? What class of UFO is the fucking flapping bird, you morons? What class of UFO is flapping birds, you morons? What class of UFOs is balloons? Because you're clearly showing people balloons, claiming it's something mysterious, which shows that these guys are UFO profiteering scumbag whores, like all the rest of them. They're just whores! They're UFO whores!
It's pretty low to the ground. We saw it visually with our eyes. We had it on radar as well.
We've been collecting
where's the radar data?
UAP data for more than 5 years with electromechanical signaling, which we call our dog whistle.
So they got 5 years of data. Where is it? Where's the 5 years of data?
Generally speaking,
5 years is a long time to be collecting data. Where is it?
we see 3 to 5 different classes of UAP per day.
And they say they're going to share it. Why don't they share it with skeptics? There's a reason they're not sharing this data with skeptical people, because we will rip their data to my guess, and I know this is presumptuous of me, but still, my guess is if they release the data to somebody that's actually skeptical and science-based and not looking for aliens, it will be debunked as garbage instantly. That's why they're not releasing any of the data.
After we turn on the dog whistle, UAPs literally come to us day after day.
Yeah, because they're around a military base. There's all kinds of shit flying around in the skies around military bases, dude.
To make sense of our data, we had to define a lexicon, and we based it on flight characteristics.
And by the way, they made a big secret of where they were filming this stuff and doing this stuff from. And there's a reason for that. Because when you know that they're filming this stuff around literally 3 or 4 military bases that are right in that area, that could explain some of these so-called unexplained sightings, because they're always off in the distance. They're not filming close-up craft. to their location. They're filming distant stuff way off in the sky with telephoto lenses.
We've broken the UAPs down into 9
And most of it is misidentifications.
classes or types. Some of these classes may be the same UAP under different flight configurations.
So they just made this up. Okay, we're going to call an egg one a class 11, right? We'll call a jellyfish a class 7. Okay.
But at this point, given
this is not science, just making up your own terms.
Behavior, or confident they don't align with conventional or terrestrial explanations.
They don't align with conventional or terrestrial explanations. Then show us the data which proves that these things that you claim to be experiencing and able to summon with gay cocksucker psychics, they got gay cocksucker psychics, these guys. And this is science. We're supposed to take these guys seriously as scientists. They got gay cocksuckers summoning aliens. I'm sorry. Right there, you get laughed out of the scientific community. Well, how are you able to keep, getting these craft to come within range so that you could film them? Well, we got a gay cocksucker, and when he's done sucking cocks, we have him meditate and summon the aliens, and then when the gay cocksucker who's left-handed summons the aliens, they come in, and then we film them. Any real scientist would laugh their ass off at this.
Each UAP class has different characteristics. Some shimmer, some tumble, some spin.
That's a balloon.
Some look like they're alive.
Looks like a trash bag.
And they just fly like a living object in the sky.
UAPs are extremely hard to image. What is seen with...
They're not hard to image if you have good imaging. And these guys claim to have the best cameras. This is the best they could do.
The naked eye is generally not what is seen under camera.
The class 1 often spins, tumbles through the sky.
Yeah, bags, balloons also tumble in the sky. Kites sometimes.
Craft looks like a black body. It appears to flash, pulse multiple times per
Come on. Mylar balloon, most likely.
second.
And these guys don't believe in Occam's razor, right? Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is usually the truth. They don't care about that. They're looking for things that look strange so that they could claim it's aliens.
There appears to be some kind of cloud or vapor around it. We've seen class 1's informations up to 22, 23.
There's the flapping birds.
Different flight formations, different flock formations. The class 2 is...
Yeah, that is a flock. It's a flock of birds, you morons. Let's go back to that one. And I love how this is the best they could do with all this high-tech equipment. You don't have a telephoto lens. I believe that they do have telephoto lens, and they can zoom in and see the flapping of the birds, but that won't sell as well as we have a flock of... Yeah, it's a flock, all right. It's not a flock of aliens, you moron. You morons with your cock-sucking psychics.
Flying in different flight formations, different flock formations. The class 2 is the class...
Even unzoomed, you can see the flapping.
Tic Tac, we've seen it in groups of 2 to 3, often flying very erratically.
These are misidentified. Most cases of so-called Tic Tac sightings are misidentified airplanes. It's very difficult, believe it or not, to see airplane wings at a distance, but you do see the fuselage.
We've seen these a couple years in a row, and usually we see them in...
No, that one's most likely the famous dollar party balloon, right? And actually, somebody already, Average Chris already pointed that out. It was pretty funny. The scammers using the same stuff that other people have hoaxed with. Like, oh, well, you just get this #1 party balloon, right? and by the way, Chris is on top. Chris is already on top of these guys. Chris says, private testing and training company found less than 30 minutes from Skywatcher filming location. Look what I found, a mere 17-minute car ride away from the area where Skywatcher filmed numerous objects, most likely balloons that they are claiming are UAP. They can't control the airspace where they are investigating, and now that multiple military installations and this company have been found in the area, it's nearly impossible that what they claim they filmed was not man-made. And look at this. Mile High Resources, a testing facility. Weapons and delivery system testing, and it's only 13 miles away from where they're filming. Come on, friends. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that they would cling to their ridiculous nonsense that, oh, it's got to be aliens. There's a goddamn testing facility right near you, you morons with your cocksucker psychics. All right, I got to stop saying that. We're going to get demonetized because of the gay psychics, or yeah. Detective Bloor is here with one for the goal, and he says birds are class 3 UAPs. Duh. Thank you for that. Praise the cash. And Colin Christensen is here and says the sperm improves alien signal reception. Is that what it is? You get sperm in your butt? You're better at that, I guess, Colin? I just don't get it. So scientific. Thank you, Colin Christensen. Big ups and big support tonight. Ryan Laws is here with $2 and one for the goal. No message, but we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We'll go back to this, and then I'll show you some other stuff that Average Chris found. He's great at busting these frauds, by the way.
Class 3, the blob, a pulsing, vibrating cloud. There's something, maybe perhaps a cylinder kind of in the middle that has a different light like a flame, and then it vibrates and pulses as it moves through space. The class 4 is your orb. We've only seen it in infrared. The class 4 seems to only come during certain activities in conjunction with perhaps the class 1. We don't have enough data yet to confirm. The class 5 we call the Manta Ray. It seems to tumble and rotate as it moves through the sky. Class 6 is Bright Star. That one vibrates very, very fast. It literally looks like a crystal in the sky. The class 7 is the jellyfish. It's probably about 2 meters across.
Oh, the
head
jellyfish.
is purple and black in color.
That's a balloon.
And then it has tentacles.
You morons.
The class 8 we call the hornet. It looks very similar to the class 7, the jellyfish, except for it's bigger, and it's almost like a jellyfish carrying something. And then the class 9 is
really
the
think this
egg.
is something
the class
mysterious
9
is
isn't something we have a
ridiculous.
lot of data on. It's very limited. We have it as Skywatcher during our California event. It's an emerging class, and we have strong evidence that it probably
it's
exists.
a party balloon, you
but we don't
morons.
have data to concisely describe it.
Extraordinarily exciting. Yes, it's
We have our
extraordinarily
sensor team up on the hill,
exciting.
actively collecting data.
It's not
We have our
pulsating,
Psionic
it's
team
rotating. Exactly.
actively operating both day and night, and we have 2 helicopters on standby, ready to be deployed.
Yeah, so the nice thing about having helicopters available out here as opposed to drones or airplanes is
So why can't they get
essentially
close
helicopters
images then?
can hover for hours at a time, and we can put people on board. You know, our drones are limited in altitude and also in just
Woo-woo,
time on
class
station
7.
because of their battery
It's
life.
like
We
so
like using
gay.
the helicopters. We can put
Thank
multiple
you, Jello,
people
put it
in the helicopter with the number of observation equipment,
It's like
cameras,
pages of a
etc.
coloring
So
book.
it's really useful platform for us.
Both gay and
the
night.
sun is to
Yes.
the east right now. We got that little bit of
They have
shading
all
right
these
there on
resources.
the
Why can't they get
lower
close to
left
these
of the
things
target,
and get
you know,
better film?
Which
They're
if
it looks like they filmed their shit from a
actual
potato
shading that
camera.
the sun's coming from this angle.
So the usual question I get is, where's the evidence? Where's the data? In science, just having data doesn't mean anything. So the reason there is a scientific process is because...
And of course, they've got Gary Nolan, who sold us a ball bearing as an alien space probe, but never proved it, right? He also sold us that Atacama humanoid with Stephen Greer until he came to his senses and, you know, admitted the science showed it was a deformed human fetus. He's been involved in many, many fake UFO endeavors, let's say. When you need a guy with doctor in front of his name to confirm your delusions, you get Gary Nolan. And although he's a respected immunologist, he doesn't know shit about actual physics and aeronautics. He's a moron.
It works and it's replicable. And it's a standard upon which all science is accomplished. So by doing and using those kinds of approaches here at Skywatcher...
So where is the data, Gary Nolan? Where is the data?
We're going to be able to collect the data, get it peer-reviewed, not because the peer review tells you that the conclusion is right, but because that allows others to look at what it is that you did and determine...
My feeling is they're never going to allow anybody to look at this so-called data. Because if they do, it will be incredibly obvious that they're hyping up ordinary earthly objects as something extraordinary in order to make money.
Determine whether or not you did it right. So that hasn't been done anywhere yet. It's been done in bits and pieces here or there, but this is now a comprehensive framework for accomplishing the goal.
Well, you got a framework then, you know. Yeah.
My name is Marek von Rittenkamp, and I have been
Oh,
covering
God,
the
this guy.
UFO or UAP topic.
This guy is a Kool-Aid drinking cult member fucking moron. He is one of the biggest morons of these UFO morons.
For The Hill on the opinion side for about 4 years now.
Yeah, he writes trash UFO clickbait. That's what he writes.
I'm excited to have a discussion today with James Fowler, who leads the technology side of Skywatcher and has collected some very, very interesting
Why don't you publish the data in The Hill, Marek?
data that we are.
And by the way, he already got caught hyping up some of this shit that's completely and totally already proven to be fake.
Are going to be taking a closer look at today. James, thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here. So we stumbled into this pretty much face planted right into this topic. We didn't want this topic to come into our lives. I'm not a ufologist. I don't believe. I'm not Fox Mulder. I have no faith in UFO.
You notice how many of these UFO guys want to make clear that they had no interest in UFOs and they just kind of fell into things? Come on, man. You don't dedicate your life or a large chunk of it to doing this so-called work unless you're interested intensely in the subject.
UAP.
That's a way of diffusing things. Like, well, I'm not a UFO nut. I'm a science guy. No, you're not. You're a nutter.
Stuff. I have no belief in off-planet anything. Frankly, we follow the data, and the data we have indicates that there's probably 3 buckets. There's probably a blue bucket, American-made. There's probably a red bucket, made in China. And there's probably another bucket, which I don't know where that bucket comes from.
Maybe Russia, moron?
This isn't a spiritual activity for us. This isn't emotional. This is strictly facts and data driven.
It's not spiritual. Then why do you need gay, I'm not going to say it again, why do you need gay dudes who butt bang each other and are left-handed to psychically summon them if this is not spiritual? This is not spiritual, but you need gay butt bangers meditating to summon the aliens. Wouldn't that be considered some form of spirituality? Getting gay butt bangers to and by the way, I have no problem with people being gay, so don't send me your hate mail. I just think it's funny that these guys say they need gay dudes to summon the aliens, and they have to meditate to do it, which is a spiritual practice. But here, this is not spiritual. This is scientific.
And we
real scientific. Get gay dudes to meditate.
Tried very hard to keep it that way.
So how did you end up out here in undisclosed location in the desert?
It's not undisclosed any longer. People geolocated. We know exactly where they're doing this, right around a bunch of military bases. And by the way, I'll flip to that because Jeremy McGowan, who is another skeptic, former believer like me, he came up with something great. So it appears that @Flarkey has identified the area that Skywatcher HQ operates within. It's Finley Mountains area in Texas. Let's take a look at an aeronautical chart, picture attached. As you can see, the Finley Mountains is second from the left grid square, and that's what's just to its right. Oh, never mind that. It's just a defense area that's near to Fort Bliss and Biggs Army Airfield, whose training operations extend into this area. It's also near the edge of White Sands Missile Range, where indirect testing or overflight monitoring will occur. That defense area falls under El Paso Air Branch of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Act, protection air and marine operations involved in aerial interdiction and border surveillance, drug and human trafficking interdiction, and joint training operations with DoD assets. The whole area is filled with military air traffic, rotary wing operations, and low-level training flights nearby military training route IR-194. Pay attention to the little red rocket on the map. This is part of the WSMR, White Sands Missile Range, which is further west into New Mexico. but its test range activities extend into Hudspeth and Culbertson counties, especially near Sierra, Anka, and Salt Flat. This area is literally a missile impact area and a trafficking and telemetry site. This area is known, well, maybe not to Skywatcher HQ, to be rife with suborbital missile flights, high-speed vehicle testing, and sensor calibration and range instrumentation testing area. And because the area is involved with the DoD and, drug trafficking and the DEA, and it's on the border, I'm sure there's a huge amount of drone flights there too. Now, take a bunch of mentally deficient folks who believe that they can think at clouds and summon UFOs and put them in an area where there is a ton of DoD classified testing happening all the time, and you're going to get, wait for it, confirmation bias from misidentification. Skywatcher literally set up in an area where they can guarantee anomalous sightings because of the amount of activity in that area from the United States Department of Defense. You are being played. And here's the map. That's great. So they're right in an area that is, look at all of these flight paths. Look at this. It's a hotbed of aerial activity, including missile flights and more. Drone activity, fixed wing aircraft, helicopters, military vehicles. Yeah, you take a bunch of moron retards who think they can summon UFOs with gay dudes and you put them right smack in the middle of all this. Of course, they're going to capture some things that can't quickly be explained, especially at a huge distance, And we also saw that there is Chris found a military test facility 13 miles away from where they're filming. So there's no mystery about what some of this stuff is, except to morons.
Looking up at the sky and looking for UAP.
Well, after my career, I started several companies and started running different projects for the government as a subcontractor. And through those activities, we started noting anomalies. And one thing led to another. Now we
Another
have
person who worked for the
really
government
compelling data
infiltrating the
on
world of
UAPs.
UFOs.
Is there anything else that, at a high level, that really stood out to you that you have observed, you and your team have observed out in the field?
Yeah, sure. So the Class 3 is very spectacular. We've seen the Class 3 as soon as yesterday. We didn't see any today, just Class 7s. But the Class 3
Colin
looks like a blob.
Christensen
Looks
has
like a
answered the call
colored blob.
of the goal, prays to Cash, and says, I didn't know there were people this gullible. I need to become a cult leader. Way easier than I thought, apparently. Yeah, a lot of UFO fans are complete total morons. So if you're going to grift, that's why there's so many scammers and grifters in the world of UFOs, because the people are so gullible and easy to scam and fool. But thank you, Colin Christensen. Big support tonight. Very much appreciate it. Let's continue.
Blob in the sky. I don't even know how else to say it. It pulses and vibrates, and I don't know what that means. I don't know why we're seeing that, but it's definitely in the sky, and we believe we're able to.
What we just saw could be the exhaust trail or signature from a missile.
Dog whistle.
There's missiles being tested right in the area over you, you moron.
The UAPs to our location. And
we dog whistle them with gay dudes meditating.
When we do, we get different observations, and the Class 3 is quite spectacular.
So, James, could you explain just a little, go into maybe a little bit more depth on this dog whistle, this apparent capability or technological element that potentially?
Yeah. So Skywatcher's biggest claim is that they can summon UFOs. They can just make them appear in the sky.
Appears to attract UAP.
We have turned on our equipment that we've customized and created what we believe is a dog whistle, and UAPs show up. So through that process...
Yeah, UAPs show up because you're in an area of high air traffic, you moron. Did they actually do like a real scientific thing and perform an experiment? Like, okay, today we're not going to turn our fake dog whistle on and we'll see if we can film any UAPs or UFOs. And then the next day, turn it on and see if we film more than we did without it on. I doubt it.
Since we started a systematic cause and effect, if you will, experimentation, And we've arrived at some very custom capabilities that when we deploy these capabilities, we get different UAP responses. Every time we turn on this equipment and do the things we need to do for the right amount of time, we get a response.
And think about this from a logical perspective. If aliens really were visiting Earth but wanting to do it in secret, why would they show themselves to these guys? It doesn't make any sense.
Every time. And we've also experimented with...
These guys are setting themselves up. Like, I guarantee within a year or two, they will be taking money from people to show them UFOs at this location or a similar one.
Not using the equipment and seeing if we see things.
Oh, well, maybe they did
Which
it.
is interesting because all of our data has been daytime. We have no data from night. None of our data are lights in the sky that you have to squint your eyes and...
They just showed us lights in the sky.
Put your finger on your nose and hope you see what you want to see. No, our data is broad daylight, often well lit like this, maybe in a desert. Data that's very viewable. We've had...
The flapping birds was filmed at night. So for him to sit there with a straight face and say all of our data is daytime shots and crystal clear, look at the footage they showed. It's garbage footage.
Over 300 sorties now of UAP incursions into our airspace where we're working.
Can I quickly interrupt a sortie just for the benefit of the audience? That's an individual flight over that you tracked with your sensors. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so I call a sortie when we have an observation of a class of UAP moving through.
I wonder how the military feels about them tracking their test flights of missiles and other secret technology.
Airspace. That class might be in a flock. We've seen flocks of up to 20 plus.
You've seen flocks of birds, you moron. You showed flocks of birds. That's all you've shown a flock of so far is birds.
We had 2 Class 7s move through, so each one by itself would be a sortie. So we've seen hundreds of UAPs. Perhaps we're running...
So they've seen hundreds of UAPs, and the best they could show us is flapping birds and balloons and what looks like bags flapping in the wind? Okay.
Event, and we have 200 sorties in a day. We don't know if that's one aircraft seen 190 times more, or if that's 200 separate airframes or aircraft or UAPs or whatever they are moving through our airspace separately. So we just call it a sortie and accept what we don't know.
I love how he calls it our airspace. It's military airspace, you moron.
Perspective and science perspective.
It's no coincidence that they're doing this right there too.
So I'd like to maybe turn now to and acknowledge the skeptics out there. It's good to be skeptical. You want to be skeptical. And we learned quite a bit from the New Jersey incidents that a lot of what people were seeing were just normal planes in the sky.
I'm surprised
right?
they're acknowledging
on the news, almost all the footage was commercial airliners. We know that, right? Anybody who's seen a commercial or knows what they're looking at can say that. When you're doing your analyses or you're tracking an object...
This will be interesting. How are they eliminating prosaic explanations?
Live. Are you accounting for wind? Are you accounting for... Let's start with wind.
So yes, we do look at the wind. We don't look that hard at it. A lot of these objects are moving faster than the wind.
Right there is a problem. We don't look that hard at the wind. Why not? If some of this stuff appears to be balloons and it's moving with the wind, you have to look at the wind speed and direction, you moron.
A lot of them will do maneuvers such as the Tic Tacs. We see them come straight down as if from space, tumbling and spinning, at Mach 2+.
Where is the data that he caught any craft doing Mach 2+? And by the way, a missile can do Mach 2+.
Important to note that all of the classes...
I love how they make the claims like, well, this thing came tumbling down at Mach 2+. Show us the sensor data. They won't. They can't. They haven't yet. Why not? If you captured a UFO and you tracked it on radar at Mach 2+, that would be probably very profitable. Why won't they show the data?
Every single one of them, we have characteristics that are unexplainable with current human technology.
And this is, again, this is a UFO grifter talking point. These things are well in advance of human technology. Show us the sensor data that proves that these things are in advance of human technology, or that they cannot be human technology. They never show the data to support that statement. They make this statement as if this is a statement of fact, but they don't have facts and evidence to support that that's a fact.
Our current understanding of of nature. So it just so happens that to track hypersonics, to track stealth, to track drones in non-ideal conditions or aircraft in non-ideal conditions is the same technology you need to track UAPs. By building the system net new and calling it Skywatcher, that's what we've done. We've architected, designed, and are building and soon integrating this next generation technology. So we're actively working with and seeking more third-party, non-ufologists, physicists, scientists, academia. We want them to come and analyze our data and produce third-party
Non-ufologists.
independent.
Then why did they want non-ufologists? Merrick is a ufologist. He is a UFO moron, Kool-Aid drinking cult member of the UFO disclosure boner group. Gary Nolan is a ufologist. He's been involved in this shit for a decade. They say they want non-UFO nutter scientists, but yet here he is with a UFO nutter journalist and a UFO nutter scientist. It makes no sense.
Analysis.
And to be clear, James, these individuals would be privy to the sensitive data that you're discussing.
They would get full access to our data.
Okay, so they're going to decide who they give access to the data. They're never going to make it public.
It would just be in a controlled environment where they don't take all the data with them. They just produce the report and anything.
Okay, so they'll let you look at it, but you can't. Yeah, see, this is a scam.
Redacted for release.
That is an insightful and I think a very important element to highlight here. And I'd like to turn this
Robert
into a public
P is
service
here now. It's a
announcement
party.
that,
Praise the
anybody
cast.
watching
Praise
who
the
may
cast.
be
Thank you,
an
Robert
expert,
P.
an academic,
I'm always happy to see
who
you.
has an interest in this topic now after watching this.
Greetings and
to
salutations,
reach out
Robert
to
P. Thanks for all the
Skywatcher
support.
and
Big
to,
support
if you have
tonight. Thank
bandwidth
you,
and
Robert
ability,
P.
to
And
lend
Colin
your
Christensen
services.
is here. There are
I know the
probably
team
more
would very much
jackalopes in the
appreciate that
desert
and
than
respect that, and I think
UFOs. Thanks for the 5 and
objective,
helping us to praise the cast.
third-party
And I believe you are
analysis
correct.
would really move the discussion forward.
They're not going to have an independent third party actually do anything. Oh, look, over-dramatized footage.
An operation like this, I think, is a pretty unique
Creepy electronic music. They're checking all the boxes.
Data on,
Thank you, Colin
this
Christensen,
phenomenon,
and
the
praise the
reality of
cast.
this
Let's get some
phenomenon. It's
more.
also
We're
giving us the
almost
opportunity to test
where
out
are we
some
at with
theories
the goal?
as well. I would say the most significant encounter
We're already at
that
16
I've
of
had here was
50. We're in a
probably
good clip here.
interacting
Only
with the
one
jellyfish.
into one part of one story.
Every day,
Thank you for the support, guys.
we've
Much
identified
appreciated.
some
Look,
form.
that
of
is a goddamn balloon if I ever saw one. Come on, man. Let's watch the balloon. Roll that balloon bean footage.
An operation like this, I think, is a pretty unique operation. It's giving us the opportunity, one, to collect data on this phenomenon, the reality of this phenomenon. It's also giving us the opportunity to test out some theories.
That's another thing that's funny. If they have all these great film and videos of UFOs, why are they using a stock image in their own logo? Why wouldn't they use a picture that they captured that's a so-called real UFO?
As well. I would say the most significant encounter that I've had here was probably...
Oh, this is one of the gay cocksuckers. I mean, homosexuals. He's got to be one of the gay dudes, right? That summons the UFOs. He's on the Psionic team. And again, they say this is about science. Psionics is pseudoscience. It's not real. If they're really trying to do real science, why would they involve themselves with fake pseudoscience people who claim they have superpowers?
Interacting with the jellyfish.
This is supposed to be a jellyfish.
Every day.
It looks like a balloon with streamers coming off of it or strings coming off of it. This looks like a balloon with streamers coming off of it.
Interacting with the jellyfish.
It's a jellyfish UFO, friends.
Every day, we've identified some form of jellyfish UAP that seems to be attracted to our machine calling system. Every day, the jellyfish has gotten pretty close to the radar, and yesterday, it was so close that the team there could actually see it with their naked eye.
It looked like a cylinder, but when we got under some power with magnification, it looked more like a Class 7 or jellyfish.
It looked like a balloon, you moron.
Typically being super, super bright and reflective.
Super bright and reflective, like a silver mylar balloon, you moron.
And whatever was hanging off the bottom of it was, you know, not really easy to see, but you can see that there was something floating.
Yeah, it looked like ribbons or strings, which is typical things that people hang from Mylar balloons, you moron. But tell us about the aliens, bro.
Beneath it.
You know, 135 heading, class 7, northeast.
It's a game of chess, right? They're actually probing us to validate our capabilities.
Oh, somebody's getting probed, probably by that Psionics gay dude.
If this is an advanced species that's smart enough to do what it's doing, they have the upper hand, and we are the little ants under the magnifying glass.
We had a Class 7 UAP. We went ahead and launched the helo to pursue it.
This whole class system is to add credibility to it. Well, it was a Class 7, you know. It's like Ghostbusters, right? Remember Ghostbusters? We're like, we have a Class 6 apparition. What's that? It's a full body apparition. You know, this is like made up terms to make it seem more credible. This wasn't just a UFO. This was a Class 7 UFO. As if, you know, for morons, this works. Like, oh, it was a Class 7 UFO. We just made up the whole class system ourselves, so.
Before the helo got here, it actually came and hovered right over us. For the first time, we saw a Class 7 with the naked eye.
It hovered right over us.
Glinty.
You know what else hovers? Mylar balloons, you moron.
Looked metallic through our...
And I don't put anything past these people. Like, I wouldn't put past people like this or people like Greer or other hoaxers that they released Mylar balloons with cameras at the ready so that they could capture footage like this.
Optics, we've always thought it was purple or black. Frankly, the reflections look like chrome almost color.
Yeah, you know what else is chrome colored? A Mylar balloon, you moron.
Looking to the east, looking to the east. Check heading around 68 degrees.
It's probably 4,000 feet above us, about maybe 1 kilometer out.
If it was 4,000 feet above them, they would be able to get better footage than they got.
Horizontal distance above the ground, and it looked like 8 meters total in distance from top to bottom. The top will look like a mushroom, like a big jellyfish. It's very, very, very bright white and
my God, my friends, this is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous that they would push this level of nonsensory, right? Mylar balloon. I'm just gonna show you what it is most likely that they saw. And that is a Mylar balloon, my friends. I'm going to share this tab. You hang a string or a few strings, 3 or 4 or 5 from that, and that is what we are seeing in this video. I mean, the fact that they went this far with a balloon is particularly ridiculous and shows that they're trying to create some mystery out of ordinary earthly objects. Richard Crawley is here with a kind and generous $13.99 Canadian. We love that Canadian money. Great exchange rate. Thank you, Richard Crawley. Big support. Yes. Yes. Let's get the goal, friends. Thank you, Richard Crawley, who has heard the call of the goal along with all the rest of you. And just checking in, 17 of 50, going at a good clip. Let's get halfway there, friends, because then it's all downhill, as Darkside Phil says, right? It's all downhill from there. This is ridiculous that a bunch of grown men don't realize they're looking at a balloon, or they do realize they're looking at a balloon, but they know they could sell it to morons.
Vibrating
as
and
aliens.
flashing, like pulsing. There was like 3 flashing panels, like equal distance going down it. I've seen some the last couple of days.
It's a goddamn balloon tumbling in the wind, you idiots.
Through a sensor. So I'd seen them before, so it wasn't like awe-shocking, but it was, you know, kind of taken back to be like, oh, wow, really am seeing one, you know, with my actual visual.
The fact that they just exclude, they don't even mention it could be a balloon. They don't even mention it could be a Mylar balloon. Could be a misidentification.
Eyes, you know, right here, right above me at 4,000 feet. It looked like a jumper under canopy at 4,000 feet, which is the same distance when they pull. So
they know what it is. They launched it. It says Tails of the Sonic Voyage. I agree. I agree with you 100%.
On sensor. and all the characteristics, you know, were consistent with
Condoms filled with
Class 7
helium.
should look like.
That reminds me, I got to get to Party City. They're closing. I want to see if there's any of those helium tanks over there. I can make some UFOs
Class
too.
7 is a jellyfish. It's not the jellyfish you've seen on TV. It's a different jellyfish. We think the head of the jellyfish is about 2 meters in size.
Yeah, they're chasing balloons and birds, right?
Maybe 5 meters in size, varying and depending on which one you're looking at. You can see these stills are taken from different jellyfish. You can see this jellyfish, the tentacles look very, very long. On this one, they look shorter compared to the head.
The original jellyfish was debunked as a balloon.
The nodules on the tentacles light up.
100%.
As light appears
Jeremy
to us, they go
Corbell's
from
was a
head to
balloon.
tail and pulse and light up the nodules as it goes. Also, sometimes it looks like an automaton or something with like an alien movie where it's got like the tail kind of hanging out, like it's seeking something. And sometimes it looks like it's a jellyfish in the sky. It seems to undulate as it moves. We have seen these take direct flight paths. Even yesterday, for the first time, we had two
Yeah,
in
the
formation.
path of the
We've never seen it
wind.
before.
That's the flight path.
We chased down one of those two, and it deviated its flight path as we approximated, and then it elevated directly straight up, as in directly vertical.
Where is the wind speed and direction data to decide if this thing is going with the wind speed and direction or independent of it? That's how you immediately would be able to rule out a balloon. If the object may be a balloon and it is going with the wind speed and direction of the wind in your area, it's a balloon. So in order to eliminate it as a balloon, they have to show us the date and time of the sighting and the wind speed and direction. They're not going to do that because then it ruins the mystery. It's clearly a balloon.
So the Class 7 is very hard to image, and at distance, it looks very similar to the Class 6 and also the Class 8 at distance. So what you're going to see is...
It looks like somebody got some helium and some bags and balloons
kind of
for this
I'll call it
production.
swimming in through the sky. There aren't a lot of
Swimming in through the sky. You know what else looks like it's swimming in through the sky? A balloon.
exotic colors. There is reflectivity, but
Of course there's reflectivity. If it's a Mylar balloon, they're silver and reflective, you dumbass.
like that color you see right there is very akin to the Class 6 when it's not emitting high energy or whatever it's doing. So when it's not vibrating. So we don't know what that means. And you can kind of start to see now the tentacles hanging down as it moves. In IR, they're very obvious. They're less obvious in EO. So we have multiple
Notice he said tentacles.
indications that this is a real object that is not man-made and that it is flying through our airspace and does want to avoid us.
At the end of day 2, our Psionic team made a bold prediction that the next day we would see an interaction between two different types of UAPs in the sky.
Chill
The Class
Station
7s,
7
we believe, are aggressive.
heard the call of the goal.
They appear to
Good to see you,
want to
Chill
encroach
Station
on
7.
us and get over
Big
us.
ups
The
and
Class
welcome.
5 we saw yesterday
Thank you for
seemed
the
to put
support.
itself between us and the
Praise
Class
the
7. And the
cash.
Class 7 then egressed to the north and the east. Let's do like an 11:10 startup.
Let's look at that again.
Get over us. The Class 5 we saw yesterday seemed to put itself between
It's another goddamn balloon.
us and the Class 7. And the
This one they cut the string off of, maybe?
Class 7 then egressed to the north and the east. Let's do like an 11:10 startup. How long can you idle on the ground? Like 20 minutes? Done.
On day 3, around noon, our radar started to detect a Class 2 Tic Tac.
We had our size.
I love how they are incorporating these UFO mythology terms like the Tic Tac or the jellyfish UFO. And they're doing that for a reason. These are clearly well-established tropes in the UFO community. And so they're using the same terminology as UFO whack jobs use.
Who had just finished.
So they're accepted. All of this, everything that these guys have said will be wholly 100% accepted by UFO believers because they're even using terminology that UFO believers are very familiar with.
Doing their thing, and one of them had brought up the fact that something was going to come from a very specific direction. He had a really good feeling about a specific location.
There have been multiple instances.
And for all we, for all we know, the Psionics guy has a friend releasing balloons, right? Are they paying the Psionics guy?
About these?
It's a game of chess, right? They're actually probing us to validate our capabilities. If this is an advanced...
We were further down. More Mylar balloons. So far, we've seen a couple of Mylar balloons. I don't know what some of these are, to be honest with you. But I think helium is involved here. We were past this. Day 3. Very exciting. Okay. This is a Mylar balloon tumbling in the wind.
We saw yesterday seemed to put itself between us and the Class 7, and the Class 7 then...
And remember, friends, you can get Mylar balloons in all different kinds of sizes and shapes.
Egressed to the north and the east. Let's do like an 11:10 startup. How long can you idle on the ground? Yeah. Like 20 minutes? Yeah. Done.
On day 3, around noon.
And if they have a helicopter, and they're saying that that jellyfish UFO was only 1 mile above them, why didn't they launch the helicopter to intercept it and get close-up view of it? Very convenient that they didn't decide to do that.
Our radar started to detect a Class 2 Tic Tac.
We had our SIs who had just finished doing their thing, and one of them...
Right near a missile range. What are the odds?
...had brought up the fact that something was going to come from a very specific direction. He had a really good feeling about a specific location.
There have been multiple instances of the
And like
psionic...
I said, for all we know, the Psionic guy is hoaxing this with a friend or something so that he keeps his job. But they're probably paying him to do his gay alien summoning stuff.
Team predicting when the machine calling and the radar team will actually sense an object.
The Class 2 is the classic Tic Tac. We have had laser rangefinder returns on them to give us distance. And through that method and the optical zoom, we are able to measure. We think they're about 40 feet in length, and they appear to be traveling supersonic and hypersonic.
Yeah, you know what else is 40 feet in length and travels hypersonic and supersonic? Missiles, you morons.
A very interesting thing, which you'll see in the videos, is
rockets.
When we do see them, they're at the edge of our sensor capabilities. You'll see like there's striations around these stills.
This looks like a #1 balloon to me. This looks like a #1 party balloon. And we have seen people hoaxing Tic Tacs with #1 party balloons in the past. #1. I can show you one of those. One moment. I'm going to share this tab. This is what people use to hoax Tic Tacs. It's for when your child turns 1 year old. It's a #1 party balloon. And in one famous case of another UFO profiteer group called TTSA, which is sort of the predecessor to these clowns, they, by the way, scammed the public out of millions of dollars, never delivered any data supporting their alien hypothesis or anything, but, you know, they collected millions of dollars. During a so-called press conference, Christopher Mellon stood up and stood in front of a picture that was verifiably one of these balloons. And he claimed it was some kind of an alien spaceship. So we know there's a precedent for these #1 party balloons being used to hoax UFOs. We'll go back to this.
And sometimes it almost looks like it bends, almost like it's not a solid mass.
Yeah, you know what else is a solid mass? #1 party balloons, you moron.
So when it's spinning, when it comes out of the spin, for a second, it looks like part of it, like probably about a third of it is bendable and it bends.
And at this point, is it dropping rapidly?
Yes, the only thing that's changing is the angle that we're looking at it with.
The elevation angle, is that right?
Yes, and we're moving in a downward fashion. The system operator is having a very hard time keeping in frame because it's falling so fast.
Dropping fast.
So you can't zoom in, and our servos don't move that fast, so our equipment can't handle that zoom factor. with the speed. You'll see multiple UAPs in these, as in they're flying together. I don't know that they're in a formation. You know, if you go frame by frame,
This
you can
could
see their
literally be
cylinders.
anything.
Wow.
This could be
So that's a class
birds.
2.
That looked like a bird.
Fascinating.
We sent the
It's only 800 feet elevation. They can't get a better
helo out to
image?
intercept the Tic Tac, but the first attempt failed because our radar was being jammed by the Class 7 jellyfish.
Where were we in this?
Okay, so here they're claiming that their radar got jammed by aliens. Come on, man. How do you know that you just didn't have equipment failure? Electronic equipment fails and fails frequently. It doesn't mean aliens did it, you morons.
The sky the first time you saw that.
And again, this is made as a statement of fact. Our radar was being jammed by a jellyfish UFO. Okay.
That was when we were 7 kilometers or so out to the northwest, 340 at that spot that we went to.
And he kept trying to climb, and it wouldn't let us.
Our helicopter launched, and about a half mile out, the helicopter stopped moving.
So they were within a half mile of the craft. You don't have good telephoto lenses? You couldn't get an image from a half mile away? Convenient.
Engine's running, blades are turning, but it would not go forward, it would not go up, it would not go left or right, it was stuck there.
Again, equipment failure, and they just automatically attribute it to the UFO did that.
So we're kind of, imagine like a blanket above us. It's like pressing us down.
So maybe we were in proximity to it. It was saying don't come any higher.
Yeah,
because that was when I told you guys elevate, right? That's fascinating.
We were called out to intercept an object that was found on radar. We went to the location it was supposed to be at. We circled a couple times and were requested to climb another 1,000 feet. The instrumentation started to bounce and the collective basically was frozen. I've never experienced anything like that before. I've got over 4,000 hours of flight time, and this is...
Well, we'll take him at his word, but you know, helicopters fail. Like they have problems sometimes.
Never happened before.
So we don't know how they're jamming us. We don't know how they're turning our equipment
Again, statement of fact. They're jamming us
off yet.
They're turning our
best
equipment
guess would
off.
be a microwave.
This is supposed to be science. You're just jumping right to these alien spaceships turned off our helicopter and our radar.
Wave signal. We're not seeing it on the frequencies we're using for our collection equipment.
Yeah, this is north, but it's not giving a reading at all. It's off.
These
Either
guys
it's
watched
moving
way too much
supersonic out of here
Skywalker
noiselessly, or it's flipping a switch. and
How are they
now you
paying
see
for
how
all
you
of
don't. And
this?
kinda feel
I
like
don't
it's
know. I think they're
So
trying
it's really
to
looking
become like
interesting
a.
that
I'm
we're
not
seeing
sure if this
multiple
one's trying to become a
classes, three
charity
classes
or a
today,
for-profit
2,
business.
5, and 7.
It's obviously
Saw them all
they're
with
looking for
binoculars
content
and/or the naked eye,
creators,
which is
so-
really new for us. We've not had that experience in the last 5 years.
Who knows? How?
And the
Thank you
fact
for
that,
kindness, generosity,
the
and
class
support.
2 and class
Much
5
appreciated.
seem to
One
be
for the
putting
goal.
themselves between us and the jellyfish.
And there's
we don't know what
another
that
one.
means. We don't have enough data yet to say that
Praise the
conclusively.
cast. These UFO
and I'm not
grifters
quite
are
sure how
approaching
many times
Beavis
we
and
have to see
Butthead
something
levels
like
of
that till we
stupid.
understand
It's
that
so
that's probably the
childish,
case.
right?
Also
When we're
interesting
in
that the
SEC,
class 5 and
it's
class
just so
2 took
childish.
3 or 4 days to show up.
A bunch of grown men looking at balloons. So no, it's not a balloon. It's definitely aliens.
The class 5 we call the Manta Ray. It looks to be like is written
So
on
it can
Manta
jam
Ray.
your
It
radar,
has
but can't escape
round
visual
everywhere.
detection.
I don't think there's anything
Yeah.
straight or
Yeah.
nearly straight. We actually went
Thank
frame
you,
by frame
Maria,
on this because it's tumbling
for your
slowly
kindness, generosity, and
and derived a
support.
3D
Much
model of
appreciated,
what
and
we think
praise
it
the
looks like.
cast, bitches. Let's get that
Here you
goal.
can see it tumbling and spinning on multiple axes as it
Guy
comes
looked like he
through
had
the
no
frame.
eyeballs.
And you said this
Another
is going
balloon.
perpendicular
That's
to the
a
wind
balloon.
and faster than the wind.
Yes, it was on radar. It was on
Oh, this one they
imagery,
say is going
multiple bands.
perpendicular
And
to
the
the
interesting thing is the radar shows this vibrating as well, the same heartbeat signal, which is really a boost in our analysis because only UAPs appear to have the vertical and horizontal heartbeat. Manned aircraft, balloons, birds, drones, they don't. They have a flat line trajectory and also a flat line radar signature. So that's the class 5.
Excellent.
This sounds like pseudoscience to
After
me.
every event, it seems as though we leave with more questions
The
than we do
UFO
answers.
grifters are going for as bad as
Our
the
mission in
Vatican.
our investigation is truly
Floating
just getting
trash.
started.
It's alien.
We're quickly learning, in fact,
It's
how many
tinfoil.
things that we still don't know.
Yes, these guys are full of it.
Skywatcher will release full modules for each of the 9 UAP classes on YouTube and our website in the coming weeks. Please understand that this is a live operation unfolding in real time.
Yeah, so how are they
We
paying
doing
for
our
this?
best
They're going to
create a
clickbait all this
taxonomy
shit.
of these
They're
objects
going to clickbait
based
all
on
these
the data we've
balloons
collected,
as alien
but we need your
spaceships
help.
and hype it up.
Part 3 of
mystery
Skywatcher
it
is
up.
going to be about psionics. It's going to be about the team that we've assembled.
Ooh, part 3 is going to be about the gay dudes that can summon the aliens in between butt banging sessions with these other guys. You think those psionic gay dudes are butt banging all these dudes? I do. I think they're all taking turns butt banging each other. That's what I think. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
From some of them directly, you'll hear about their experience, their background, and how they found themselves here alongside us today. And if we can validate the existence of these abilities, scientifically and scientifically, then that information...
They're never going to validate any of this, because this is balloons and garbage floating in the wind and birds. This is not alien spaceships.
Necessitates an entirely new concept of reality and our place in it as human beings.
Way to hype it up. Way to hype it up, friends. So that's part 2 of this shit. 3 Havoc with a kindness of $5 Australian says Manta Ray is a flying wing drone. Could be, yeah. That's a better explanation than alien spaceships. Alien spaceships. Yes, Linda Moulton Howe killed those cows with a shovel. So I don't know what else to say about this. What we've learned here is that these guys are seeing aliens because they want to see aliens. This is not science. Science isn't, we'll get a gay dude to summon the aliens for us and call it a dog whistle. Science isn't, we see these balloons, it looks a little weird, let's say it's aliens and we couldn't identify it. And it's awfully convenient that they have all this high-tech gear, but this is the best imaging that they could do. I could do better imaging on my phone. And they've got, I've seen pictures of them doing their Skywatch, butt banging sessions. They've got very good cameras with very good telephoto lenses. I just don't see the excitement over, I wouldn't have been excited over seeing any of those things. It looks like trash in the sky, floating in the wind, balloons, birds, misidentified aircraft, perhaps, some of it. Ardenette says, so what you were saying is the anal probe I got wasn't aliens. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. So what do I think of Jake Barber and the Skywatcher scam? It's a scam. They're going to be scamming the public, gullible public, for YouTube ad revenue. I don't know if they have other income sources, but I do know for a fact that they're trying to get a television show deal right now actively with the History Channel. I had a good source there. They are actively making these videos as sort of demos to show television shows, television channels, so that they could get a television show deal to do this. And it looks to me like they're taking a page from the Skinwalker scam, right? Just take anything that happens and turn it into something mysterious. No wonder the aliens don't want to land here. Yeah. So we've done our due diligence on Jake Barber and the Skywatcher scam. Now would be a good time to remind you, if you are listening to the audio podcast, you're missing half the fun. Go on over to YouTube, put Truth Seekers, one word, in the search bar, and go to that channel, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and come and be a part of our live broadcasts. You are most welcome here. And the Ardeness says, well, the History Channel will put anything on. Yeah, they put David Wilcock on that shit network, so they'll go with anything, Ardenette. You're right. So next we're going to get into Bob Lazar, but that will be a quick one. I'm sure that many of you have... oh, 1 second. Let me see. Okay, so I'm sure that many of you have heard my various Bob Lazar debunks, but Bob Lazar is back and looking for another cash out. And you know what bothers me about the Bob Lazar story is that George Knapp has made millions of dollars selling Bob Lazar's story for 30 plus years, never provided any proof or evidence that he was a scientist, actually worked at Area 51 or anything. Bob Lazar, for those that are unaware, is a convicted pimp, fake scientist with a fake education, with a fake work history, who claims he was a scientist, a senior staff level physicist. But I'm here to tell you that you don't get hired at Los Alamos as a senior staff level physicist if your college degrees are fake. And we know for a fact that Bob Lazar's claimed educational credentials are 100% fake. He never went to MIT, he never went to Caltech. And we also know somebody got to his former employers, his bosses at Los Alamos, where he claimed to be a senior staff level physicist, and they all confirmed he was a low level electronics technician. He was never a scientist at Los Alamos. We add to that the fact that he ran a whorehouse, and maybe, just maybe, this guy just telling a story shouldn't be enough to interest anyone. If he had evidence of the story, along with all the problems, maybe, but we never get the evidence. So here we have it. Another person is cashing in on the Bob Lazar story. S4, the Bob Lazar story, coming this summer. Another group of people that is cashing in on the Bob Lazar story of a fake scientist that claimed to work at Area 51.
Hi, I'm Bob Lazar. In December of 1988, I was hired as a senior staff physicist by a U.S. defense contractor called EG&G.
EG&G would have background checked him before hiring him as a scientist. They would have found out that his only education was one electronics course at Pierce Junior College, and they never, ever, ever would hire him as a senior staff level physicist. Full stop. When you go for a job at that high of a level, at a lab, any job as any company hiring a senior staff level physicist is going to check his education and make sure he really went to the colleges he claims. But somehow we're all supposed to believe that Bob Lazar magically got past the vetting process with a completely, totally fake, made-up education and fake degrees from MIT and Caltech. Not happening.
Special projects. I was told that I would be working on an advanced propulsion system out in a remote area of the Nevada test site, known as Area 51. Wanting to protect myself, I decided to go public and reveal the secrets of S4.
Well, there's actually 9 flying saucers, flying discs that are out there of extraterrestrial origin.
Again, statement of facts.
He is not your typical straight-laced science guy. If you wanted to hire a guy...
Yeah, this has been the argument. Well, he's not a typical scientist. If you want a guy that thinks outside the box, you get a guy like Bob. They're not hiring a guy with fake degrees, George Knapp, you scumbag grifter that's been profiting from this shit for 30 years.
Could think out of the box and help solve problems. Bob was probably the best person in the country at the time. He was perfect for it. People are catching on that what Bob said is true.
Physical evidence now.
This is the outtakes from his VHS tape that he sold in the back of science magazines that I was a victim of. I paid $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Had to get my father to write the check and send it off. And then we waited something crazy. I think it was 4 or 5 months before the fucking tape ever came. Mountain is here. Hearing the call of the goal. I know many more of you will be hearing the call of the goal. And a kind and generous $4 super sticker. I apologize, my software doesn't translate those, so I don't know, but it says pair character exaggeratingly stretching his arm forward to offer a cup of coffee. I could use some caffeine. I had a rough day, but thank you, Agent 47, or thank you, Moontan. I apologize. Agent 47, you're up next on Call of the Goal. Thank you, Moontan. Big ups, big support. Let's go. Let's get some more, friends. Agent 47 with $2. Have you ever supported David Wilcock? No. There's some people that I just knew were fake from the beginning. right? What is that about? I R'd the Lazar VHS tape. I ordered it. I didn't R it. I don't know what that is, right? But this looks like outtakes. These aren't the takes that were actually used in the tape, so they must have did multiple takes. And this is Bob explaining how the flying saucers worked for your $30.
Now exists, which proves that there is life elsewhere, and at least one form of that life has been here.
It was exactly like disarming a bomb every single day.
He was targeted.
And I saw the guy with the gun.
I was willing to fire back.
These briefings contained
Oh yeah, he got harassed by the men in black. They were like, you know, pointing guns at him and
wide
stuff.
spectrum of information, mostly relating to aliens and alien technology.
The people that have been keeping these secrets for a long time are not going to give this stuff up.
No one has ever been able to show exactly what I saw with my own eyes.
Until now. Yeah, so what they're doing is, in Unreal Engine, they're making the fake S4 hangar, which, by the way, doesn't exist. People have done flyovers. We've got satellite images from the Soviets. Right at the time Bob claimed there was a base there and a guard shack and an oppressive military presence. You know what those Soviet satellite images show in that area? Absolutely nothing. The other thing is that the area that he claimed this S4 part of Area 51 was in, Papoose Lake, is highly irradiated. You would not be able to work there. People have to wear rad badges at Area 51, which is Area 51 proper is miles away from this Papoose Lake. Papoose Lake is much more radioactive than Area 51 proper. You as a government would not purposefully put a base someplace where people are going to get cancer from the high levels of radiation due to the nuclear testing that was done in that area years before. So S4 doesn't exist, but the people making this film are going to recreate S4 and the alien flying saucers for us in Unreal Engine so that we could walk through it in VR. And I can't lie, I just recently got a VR headset. I'll look at it, and it's good UFO porn, but Bob Lazar's entire story falls apart. It's completely fake. The area he claimed to work is totally irradiated. You can't work there. There's no base there. We have various satellite images. Somebody recently did a flyover. There's not even a road. And Bob Lazar claimed that he was driven there in a bus with blacked out windows. I'm here to tell you that a bus would not get through that rocky terrain of the desert with no road. There's no road leading to the mythical S4 location that he describes. There's no hangar bay doors. A man named Jerry Friedman, who was a historian, snuck into Area 51 and went right up to that mountain where he said the alien base was, or the base where the back engineering happened. There was no hangar doors, nothing. There was nothing there. Rocks and sand and radiation. Jerry Friedman later, sadly, tragically died of cancer. And many people think it's because he spent too much time in that S4 area, which is highly irradiated due to nuclear testing.
Until now.
I can't lie, that looks good. That does look good. It looks very realistic. It looks very good. But I don't know if there's value in creating 3D models of a completely fake alien spaceship. Because after all, this alien spaceship that Bob claims to work on is exactly like Billy Meyer's beam ships. And we know, or almost exactly, and we know that Billy Meyer hoaxed his so-called flying saucers, which he called beam ships. Bob called it the sports model. And he just so happened to get pictures of those beam ships right before he came out with his story.
The information we're getting now is going to come to an end. The slightest...
Yeah, the never-before-seen footage is outtakes from Bob's VHS collection when he was scamming children like me for $29.95 for a video about his working on alien spaceships. And by the way, not for nothing, but Bob Lazar is a confirmed consumer fraudster because he claimed that he was a senior staff level physicist at Los Alamos and Area 51, and then he sold a VHS tape to people based on that claim. We know now, we didn't know it at the time, we know now that his education was fake and that he was never a scientist at Los Alamos. So he sold a VHS tape based on lying to the public. That's called consumer fraud. We know for a fact that Bob Lazar scammed the public in 1989, 1990s with that VHS tape where he was claiming to be a real scientist. He's not a real scientist. He never was. He never will be. He's a scammer. Trolly troll troll, hearing the call of the goal, saying it would be a lot more, but the market was brutal last week. Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Do you still have the VHS? Yes, I do. And in fact, if you search Bob Lazar in my YouTube channel, you can watch the whole thing. And interestingly, every once in a while, I get a copyright claim from some of the music or something. But it's called Bob Lazar and the Government Bible. You could just search. You could search YouTube. If you don't find it on my channel, you'll find it on a lot of channels. Bob Lazar excerpts from the Government Bible. Search that, you will find it. He was investigated by the FBI for selling radioactive materials that were used in a murder. Yeah, he's very shady. And also, the other reason he would have never been hired to work anywhere near Area 51 is because his wife was a convicted murderer with very strong ties. His wife at the time was a convicted murderer with very strong ties to organized crime. She was involved in a murder. She was convicted of that murder, did jail time, and was released. And, you know, that's a security risk. This would have been the height of the Cold War. There's no way they would have hired him. And he was also a brothel owner. Yeah, Bob liked whores. That's his thing. That's his favorite thing is whores.
This wrong move could release a tremendous amount of energy.
To start up the reactor, of course, we need some element 115.
But he had a piece of it, and I don't care whether people believe it or not.
Actually went up.
This is Gene Huff. Gene Huff was Bob Lazar's grifting partner. And Gene Huff helped Bob Lazar make that tape that he scammed the public with.
In the air like this.
Be here and suddenly be here.
We don't know where they came from.
He just said, we don't know where they came from. In previous interviews, he said that the craft that he worked on, he was told came from Zeta Reticuli, which just so happens to be the same place that Betty and Barney Hill, famous alien abduction victims, claimed that their aliens were from.
This is my husband, Bob.
He didn't believe in flying saucers.
Again, remember how the guy previous, the Skywatcher guy? Oh, I didn't believe in, I'm just following the science. I didn't believe in aliens and UFOs. They all say that.
ALSAP becomes ATIP. ATIP gets on the front page of the New York Times. It leads to congressional hearings. It leads to Dave Grush.
Yeah, and somehow people are saying because David Grush came out and said the government is hiding alien spaceships and back engineering them, that proves Bob Lazar is telling the truth. No, that's called the wackadoo prover maneuver. And when you have two people with no evidence making a claim, that doesn't make the claim any more factual or real. You have two different people making similar claims with no evidence. Doesn't prove that the claims are true. They're not corroborating each other. You know what corroborates a story? Evidence. And neither Bob Lazar or Dave Grush have any evidence whatsoever. They have stories.
All the stuff that's unfolding right now traces back to Bob Lazar.
Yeah, that's another big claim. Oh, these people, these new whistleblowers confirm Bob Lazar's claims. No, they repeat Bob Lazar's claims. Bob Lazar's had 30 plus years to prove his claims, and he never has. But I can't lie, I will certainly watch this. And this makes me want to get up off my ass and finish my Bob Lazar documentary, but it's a lost cause. Every time I sit down to work on it, I just get frustrated. I got about 22 minutes, and I need another 80 to tell the rest of the story. And ask anybody that knows me, I'm meticulous in my research, and I'm just as meticulous when putting a video production together So it's super slow going. But I'm going to pray. I'm literally going to meditate and pray for the energy to finish my documentary as quickly as possible, so that hopefully shortly after this bullshit festival comes out, people can come to my channel and get the real truth. I gotta say though, the production looks worlds better than Jeremy Corbell's shitty video. Jeremy Corbell's so-called documentary was so shitty that it made me say, well, if he can call that a documentary, I can make documentaries myself, because anybody can make something as good as Corbell. I mean, maybe I don't have the cameras that he has. That's the only difference. But Corbell's documentary was a shit show, cash grab. Again, every once in a while, this Bob Lazar, it's like UFO whack-a-mole. Every once in a while, this Bob Lazar story pops back up so somebody can make another $1 million off of a fake scientist, convicted pimp, whorehouse owner who claims he worked on alien spaceships but has no evidence to show for 30 plus years. It's absolutely ridiculous. But that being said, will I watch this? Yes, I'll probably do a watch party for this. And but here's my prediction. They won't give you the whole story. They're going to do the same thing that Jeremy Corbell did and only give you the half of the story that makes you believe Bob Lazar's telling the truth. That's what George Knapp did. That's what Corbell did with his shit documentary. And by the way, I was in communication with Corbell. I gave him all my research that proves conclusively that Bob Lazar is a complete and total fraud, a liar, a fake scientist, a convicted pimp. His wife was a murderer. He didn't care. He's not putting any of that in the documentary, because then he can't make money selling this garbage. Grift month. Yes, grift month. Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. RoboNext666 says Joe Rogan helps these scumbags grift. Yeah, absolutely they do. And I'm checking in with the goal. We're almost halfway there. 23 of 50. 24 of 50. Yes, yes. Another one coming in. Kind and generous benefactor Sarah has heard the call of the goal. Welcome, Sarah. So good to see you. And God bless you and thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. I saw 13 years ago, I live in Appalachians, a blue light from the sky at 9:30 p.m. summer landed on the ground behind a hill. Then a dome of blue light expanded from it like a nuke, and then the light disappeared and close dogs barked. Well, that's an interesting encounter, and one that I can't easily explain. Some encounters interest me. That one interests me because that's not ordinary object. A blue light from the sky landed on the ground behind a hill, and then a dome of blue light expanded from it like a nuke. I mean, if I was really going to be skeptical, my first guess would be maybe somebody was shooting off fireworks around you. I don't know. That's bizarre, though. That's definitely crazy, Sarah, and I don't know what to think of it. I'd need more information, I suppose. But thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and support. Very, very kind and generous of you. Thank you for hearing the call of the goal, my friends. And now we are halfway there with $5 from Chuck, who also heard the call of the goal. Thank you, Chuck, for your kindness. God bless you for your generosity and support. Big support tonight. Thank you, Chuck. And Borg is here, hearing the call of the goal. Were you a believer? And if so, when did that change? Yes. I got started down the UFO rabbit hole because at 10 years old, I saw something I could not explain. And I really, really thought it was an alien spaceship. Years go by. I digested every book, every documentary I could find. I used to ride my bicycle to different libraries so that I could get more UFO books because my local library only had a few. I sucked through those very quickly and wanted more. And my parents weren't real big on spending money on books. You know, my dad would just go, "You got a library card?" That's how cheap my dad was. So I used to ride my bike to all the different libraries in my neighborhood or my area. Eventually, I figured out that I could get on the train that goes downtown and go to the main branch of the Philadelphia Library, where they had hundreds of books on UFOs. And I would go there. Every time I had a few dollars to spare, I would pack a bag lunch and I would go there, and you know, some of the books I would get out and bring back, but most of the time I would just stay in there and read the books. So I read every book I could find on UFOs, aliens, and I was convinced that what I saw was an alien spaceship. But years later, I would come to believe that maybe what I saw was just human technology being test flown or some sort of exotic aircraft, because after all, my sighting took place right next to a military base. Sarah, thank you, Borg. And Sarah with 5 says, I was wondering what you thought it could be. It came from the sky. It was really weird. I told you on Twitter I would super chat you about it. Yes, and thank you for that. And never be shy. I don't mind questions, especially when they come with money attached to them. I will answer any questions anybody has, especially for the super chat. And we try to make time every night, so it's not so pay to play where people can put their questions in all caps. But thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Another one from Sarah. Thank you very much. And Anthony Peterson is here. Hearing the call to goal, I want to play Area 51 Quest, the Unreal game. That's how I knew that that picture was fake, because I played that game, Anthony Peterson. And thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And my friends, we are now up to 28 of 50. I've got a little bit more to share with you as far as the Bob Lazar story goes. 1 second, let me get to my profile. We've got, yeah, this is a quick one. So this is the guy making the documentary, doing the cash in. Project Gravatar's documentary will be released sometime in 2024. No, now they're saying summer of 2025. I guess this is an old tweet, or he meant 2025. And the VR experience will be using Unreal Engine. Title of the documentary is Lazar, Original Whistleblower. So let's hear from the filmmaker, who I guarantee this guy is not going to put any of the stuff that proves Bob Lazar is a fraud in his movie.
Hey guys, Luigi here from Project Gravatar. Really excited to show you guys what is coming up with our project. First is going to be the documentary film Lazar, the Original Whistleblower. And following that is going to be our VR experience.
Well, they changed the name to S4, the Bob Lazar story.
Of S4. We've been working on this for 2 years, and we're really excited to show you how we did it and how we went about recreating the base alongside Bob Lazar.
Well, anybody could do that in Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine's pretty powerful. You can make anything. You can make any environment. You can make any landscape. You can make alien worlds. You can make desert worlds, winter worlds, whatever.
We started using Unreal Engine 5 to recreate the entire S4 facility. Bob was there with us at every step, guiding us and telling us exactly how to build the facility of S4, where he was reverse engineering alien technology.
And again, I don't see the value in recreating a base that does not exist. If this guy's going to sit here and seriously say that he doesn't know that Soviet satellite images show that base didn't exist, and that those pictures, some of them were taken right at the time or after Bob Lazar came out with his story. So you can't use after Bob blew the whistle, they moved the base or what? No, that base never existed. And for this filmmaker to pretend that he doesn't know that Soviet satellite images and the recent flyovers confirmed there's nothing like Bob Lazar described that so-called base. There's no road. There's no guard check. There's no oppressive military. There's no guards. There's nothing there but sand and rocks. But this guy knows, and probably rightly so, that he's going to make $1 million from this movie. He knows that. And all he has to do is play along with Bob and pretend that Bob's not a greedy con man, grifter, scumbag who had a murderer for a wife, who sold people radioactive elements that somebody murdered their wife with, who's been investigated for selling illegal fireworks before, right? Who was bankrupt at the time he came out with his story, who lied about being a scientist, who lied about being a senior staff level physicist at Los Alamos. He's not going to tell you any of that, because that won't get him that $1 million.
The environment around that, which is the Papoose Mountain Range, Papoose Lake, all the way to Groom Lake, and everything that was inside the base. So the hangars, the nurse station, the briefing room, the propulsion lab, and obviously the craft, the sport model, that he was privy to go in and research while he was there back in 88 and 89.
Hi, my name is Christopher Matteau, and I have the pleasure of bringing Bob's story to life using Unreal Engine 5. I would say working
Okay, so they got a game designer to do this. Okay.
Bob.
It doesn't prove Bob Lazar's story is true. It proves that you can make any fantasy environment you want in Unreal Engine.
Was a lengthy process, but in a good way. And what that means is that there's so many smaller details that he would tell us about, and then we would have to go back and repeat them. We would have to go back and change little things around.
I can imagine there was a lot of
no, it wasn't
re-renders
exactly like that, or the walls were slightly greener. Hardest thing about creating the entire environment.
He even had ugly hookers.
That's because
Reportedly
not something that I've
ugly
ever seen
hookers,
before.
yes.
Bob can sketch and draw and describe it all he wants, but at the end of the day, it's still alien technology. So bringing that to
There's
life
no proof it's
was
alien technology.
Very in-depth process with Bob. One of the most interesting aspects of this film is the steps that we took to actually putting Bob back in 1989. And what that means is we actually scanned his face, that's the first step that we did, and translated him into a metahuman. So we have now this 3D metahuman of current day Bob. Now, we also took the time to translate that and make a young, back then version of Bob Lazar.
Well, the information debunking Bob is out there on multiple websites and
his
stuff.
Story of his life.
Multiple
you're gonna have
researchers.
a
I
fully
just
realistic
collated it all,
version
so it's
of
not
Bob
my
during that
information.
time.
But thank you for
Now, the
for
last
that.
thing that
A
we're
pimp
going to do
named
to
Bob.
really immerse the audience into our film is when Bob was here in Montreal, we filmed him on a green screen, and we can actually pull that into Unreal and have him walk around in the environment as if he was really there. And it's all live action. So you have this jump between this
So they're
going to
make a fake S4 and have Bob walking around.
Bob, and then live action Bob. And that just creates this all-around really engaging experience for the audience.
This is so exciting, not, says Archaic Revival. Yeah. Yeah. Coming soon, 2024. I guess it was supposed to be 2024. They missed their window there. They missed their window. All right, so that's that. And then we've got, of course, you know this is fake because the other grifters are getting in on it. And Richard Dolan is a grifter. Him and his wife are selling people superpowers for $159. And Richard Dolan's been caught selling completely and totally fake alien and UFO stories on multiple occasions, several times by me. He's about as credible as a crackhead holding a gas can up asking you for gas money to get home. But here he is interviewing the filmmaker about this film and the recreating S4 scenes.
Your team is creating really two products here.
Right.
So you're creating a film.
Right.
This is actually about an hour and a half long or a little bit more, I think,
Right.
featuring Bob walking through
UFO
the kind of
grifters
virtual
missing their
recreation
Right.
of S4
Oh.
Papoose Lake and so forth. So that's going to be fascinating.
Dolan, sit
You want to
down.
release sometime in early
Lutan says,
24.
"Oh, for
Right.
fuck's
Yeah.
sake."
Go into that. But then you're describing a follow-up VR project by
Right.
which individuals will be able to kind of do this. They'll be able to go into it. And that's what we are looking at here, essentially.
Yeah, that's right. So what you're the same environment that we built. So imagine we built everything from Groom Lake all the way to S4 Papoose Lake.
Yeah.
That environment is our central
Yeah.
piece,
They
and
built
that
an environment
is going to be
that's
used
fantasy,
extensively
because that
in our
base doesn't
documentary
exist.
film,
Yeah.
and then will be available to the public on multiple different
No, it's
platforms,
remote
whether they
viewing
want to go through it
superpowers, Ardnett.
with their phones, which will be a lower resolution version,
Mhm.
all the way to a super high realistic quality with some 3D
VR goggles and all that. Yeah,
and
amazing.
they would be able to, and not only they won't just be able to walk through it, they'll actually be
No,
able to
Colin
interact
Christensen.
with stuff. So if
There's
they put
some
their
African
hand
Americans
on the scanner, it'll light
Billy
up.
Carson comes to mind.
This is the scanner, I think,
That's right. That's the
But the
hand
vast
bone
majority
scanner.
are white,
Bob had
right.
to place his hand there, and there would be a bright light. It would read the length or density of his bones,
really is
and there
literally
would be
a
a little
circle jerk,
security
yes.
ID card that would pop out of this on the right side. There's like a little slot. Take
Mhm.
his card, and that at that point would swipe his card on the security panel that was on the door there and enter inside of
So-
the S4 facility.
So let's move on. So we're going into the hallway here.
And look at that. A kind and generous soul on Kick has heard the call of the goal and gifted one Kick subscription. Jake Raz, thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. And thank you for the support. Praise the cash. Praise the cash. God bless you, Jake Raz, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Much, much appreciated. Let's get some more Kick subs, friends. We've got 2 already. Chorgon Scormhammer gifted a subscription. Very, very kind and generous of Chorgon Scormhammer. And boy, that's tough to say, but I'm doing my best. So thank you, Jake Raz over on Kick and Chorgon Scormhammer over on Kick. We'll take a moment to thank some other people who previously gifted a sub on Kick. We've got Bolt Action Loser gifted a subscription. Sardon Jerk became a subscriber and gifted 5 subscriptions. Big support. Chorgon Scormhammer gifted 5 subscriptions recently as well. Big support, continuing support. Jared of the Dead gifted 5 subscriptions. Pig Riser subscribed. Boba1489 gifted a sub. Chesterfield's Invalid gifted a sub. Scuba Steve gifted 5 sub. Jake Raz gifted a sub. Clydesdale gifted a sub. Winter Soldier, Clydesdale again. Jake Raz again. Bloodwolf 282. Thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. We love the Kick support. It's like getting an extra paycheck, and God knows I could use it. So praise the cash. Praise the cash. Hallelujah.
This is a very realistic looking hallway. I don't know how I suppose you just discussed this with Bob. He gave you the description of what it looked like, and this is your recreation. So he goes to the door, hand scanner, going down the hallway, and then finally we're out into the hangar. I think there's other rooms that you did not show me the visuals of, but you've got other areas here as well.
Right. There's when you're in the hallway, the first thing you see is this very gloomy long hallway with this kind of a bowling green colored cinder blocks on the bottom side, and there's doors on each side. He said it was very kind of a not a very inviting place, if you want to call it.
Bob described the atmosphere as oppressive. That's what he said. And also hearing the call of the cash, Soggy Sandwich just became a YouTube channel member. And as you all know, or should know, if you become a YouTube channel member during the live broadcast, we give you a big shout out and a big thank you. So big thanks and big shout out to Soggy Sandwich. I don't think that's a good thing, Soggy Sandwich. If your sandwich is soggy, it's probably not good, right? My mom, I don't know why, but she used to give us ham and cheese sandwiches, and then she would put like another sandwich bag on the bottom full of ice, and sometimes that got messed up, and I would get a soggy sandwich. You're giving me traumatic memories of my childhood, Soggy Sandwich, but thank you for becoming a YouTube channel member. Let's get some more members. You can hit that join button, get a big thank you and a shout out. You get your YouTube channel member badge, some extra goodies. Yeah. How do you become a member? You hit the join button, and it's $5 a month on YouTube. Alternatively, you can go on over to Patreon and look up Stephen Cambion and subscribe over there for $1. But you get a few more extra goodies on the YouTube side. And thank you for asking, Borg. And if you hit that join button now during a live broadcast, you get a big shout out and a thank you. But we thank all the people who become a member, whether you do it during the live broadcast or not. Thanks to all of the members. It really does help the channel and the show. Thank you all.
Dead, very boring, he said. So there was one of the first things he had to do was go into this small briefing room that is not shown in these images. We'll have it shown, where there was all these blue documents that he was able to filter.
It's funny, Dolan once said he didn't believe Bob Lazar, but then he needed grift material, so then he started to believe Bob Lazar again.
Through. There was always security there. Everybody will also see this in the film. So there was security guards at all times. Some of them were wearing desert camo security, and some of them were wearing a dark navy blue with no insignias on.
Then why does the Soviet satellites not show a guard shack or any guards like Bob Lazar described around the time that he claimed to work there, where this base was? It shows nothing but dirt and rocks and a mountain. There's no hangar bay doors. There's no spaceships. There's no guard shack. There's not even a road like Bob Lazar described. Is he just going to ignore like factual reality in favor of a fantasy? Yes, because he can make money off the fantasy, but he cannot make money. Listen, I guarantee no matter how good I do on my Bob Lazar documentary, I'm going to make pennies on it. Because even though it's going to give you the other half of this, well, that's not true. Maybe I'll make a little bit of money, because some people want the whole story. And these people, these UFO grifters, only give you half of the story. So I'll give you the other half that they leave out. Maybe it'll make a little bit of money, but it certainly isn't going to make $1 million. I guarantee this guy's going to make $1 million off of this project.
On them. He didn't.
I should just start grifting. Fuck it. You know, I could use $1 million. Just what if I just grift it real hard for like 2 or 3 years and then I just vanished with my money, right?
Know why there was a difference. All he knew is that they were both security. There was a nurse station where he was asked to go there to do some allergy tests because he might be because they said you're going to be exposed to foreign materials and all that. So that'll be shown in the movie.
Yeah.
And then there's the infamous propulsion lab. Anybody who knows about Bob Lazar's story,
yes,
he was hired by EG&G Special Projects to go work, hired by the U.S. Department of Naval Intelligence.
No, he wasn't. There's no proof that he was ever a government employee, you asshole grifter.
To go work at this secret facility.
That doesn't exist, that we know never existed, that we know Bob lied about. Bob, in his original drawings too, he said that the hangar bay doors were 40 feet wide, but then he said the craft was 52 feet in diameter. So little problem there. How does a 52-foot diameter spacecraft get in and out of a 40-foot hangar bay door, Luigi? There's little problems like this.
On some kind of propulsion project. So they had told him it was going to be some advanced propulsion. So there was a laboratory in there that was absolutely dedicated to the propulsion side of whatever was going on at S4, and that's where he worked, and that'll be extensively shown in our documentary. And then there's this hangar, which is the main hangar where he was finally brought in. I can't remember. I think it was the second day where he was walked in S4 through the hangar door and not the main entrance door. And that's when he was able to, for the first time, see the disc sitting there on its belly on the ground in this hangar. There were security guards there. There was not many people in the hangar as you walked in.
Take a look. Here's a great shot of it there.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. And this is basic. So this is the infamous Bob. This is the sport model. This is the flying disc that he was able to see up close. And I mean, this was something that he initially wasn't completely great art, understanding. He didn't know what it was, and at a certain point, he was able to identify that there was an American flag on it. It was a reversed American flag that he saw, a sticker of it.
So I just want to stop and just look at this beautiful graphic rendering that your team did.
Right.
It's absolutely amazing. And I just love it. You can see the flag is right by the hatch, the opening there,
right?
By the ladder. But I just think that's just beautifully rendered. Your team did an incredible job here.
Well, this is our whole goal here.
Incredible job rendering a fantasy that there's no evidence for or proof of, other than the words of a convicted pimp, fake scientist with a fake education, who had a murderer wife who never would have been cleared to work on any secret project during the height of the Cold War. Sure, beautiful picture of a fake story.
We wanted to, and this is what we had told Bob, and Bob saw the seriousness of our team, and that's why he agreed to work with us, because he realized that we were not going to be doing anything that might have reduced the quality of the story or even potentially damaged more disinformation or more wrong information. There's a lot of inaccuracies. My team spent months while we were doing this. Not only did we get information from Bob, but of course everybody's going to Google, they're going to go and find out whatever is out there so we can pull data. And there was so much info that was wrong. So Bob said, you know what, this is a great opportunity.
Everybody else
to
is
get
wrong,
this
but a
down
pimp,
to exactly what I
pimp
saw.
stammer is
that
right
way
somehow.
there's no more inaccuracies out there. This is, if anybody wants to know what I saw, this will be it. That way it's as clear as you can get it.
So here's another
care so much about the truth. Why don't he give this away for free?
Really nice angle that you guys put together
For
here. I just think
profit,
that's
of
beautiful.
course.
That's the opening hatchway.
Everything in UFOs is for profit.
Into the craft. And it's got, as you can see, it's got like this weird angled opening that has a center floor kind of in the center. And then you've got this opening on the bottom. That was something that took quite a while to engineer properly. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You can see the American flag there. It's another just angle that you created here.
Yeah. I don't believe that I've ever seen this kind of a description of an opening from Lazar before, but it's been a while. I'd have
looks really good.
Check.
And here as well.
And that flag, you know, there was a lot of chatter when we were doing research. There was a lot of people that had said, oh, you know, it's impossible that he would have seen that flag from that angle if the craft was sitting on its in the hangar. He was walking by it. And I'll never forget when we actually had to do the first official beta testing of our virtual reality in the hangar. By the way, is mind-blowing. Okay. I mean, not because we did that, but it literally blew my mind because it literally looked like we were there. And the first thing I did, I remember, because I remember reading so many comments that it was impossible to see that flag from that angle. Bob Lazar could not have seen that.
So this is the proof that, oh yeah, he could have saw that flag. So that means his entire story is true.
I purposely walked to the entrance of the main hangar door as if I was Bob walking into that hangar looking at the craft. And the first thing I noticed was the reversed American flag. It was you could see it from that angle. And I'll never forget saying, oh my God, you could see the flag, you know, and we all stood there. People put their goggles on and they said, you know what? Yeah, you can.
It is embarrassingly stupid.
Something that I consider to be a win for us, because that means we measure
American
things
flag,
properly.
saucer made
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point.
All right. So, yeah, I think that'll pretty much do it for the Bob Lazar portion of our journey tonight. Not much, really, not much else that I could say that hasn't been said before. I will say I really would like to have that documentary done. Unfortunately, the only really great editor that I know is Spooky, and Spooky's busy editing another film at the moment. So pray for me. If I don't get it done by summer, I'll get it done by fall. Definitely before, winter, I would think. You know what I have to do is I have to set a goal, like just finish 5 minutes a week. Because I don't know, I've always found that if you have a very difficult project, you just got to break it down into smaller bits and chip away at it. That's what I did with that cabin. I've been building that cabin for 5 years. I couldn't build, a 1,200 or 1,500 square foot cabin by myself in one shot. So I built it in sections. First we built the middle section, then we put an extension on one side, an extension on the other side. So I really gotta, if I want to really do it, and I've wanted to do this for a long time, because to be very honest, I'm tired of having to explain things to people. I would love to have this documentary done so that anytime for the rest of my life, when somebody asks me about Bob Lazar, I could just give them the link and say, here's all you need to know about Bob Lazar that they won't tell you. So, it is what it is. I'd like to, maybe I'll set a goal of 5 or 10 minutes a week and just start chipping away at it, because it would be great when this next money grab shit show comes out, if people could get the rest of the story that they're going to leave out. They're going to leave out the rest of the story, right? How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Exactly. It's a good analogy. Yeah. And actually, it's not just the edit. It's not just the problem with the editing. I got to do a lot of compiling of research, and then I'm going to have to film myself explaining many things. And I'd like to have a different set than the Truth Seeker set for this thing. So yeah, who knows? But maybe I could film my talking bits at the cabin or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens, and we'll see how far I get. Yeah, but that's the so-called S4 film story, and I think it is another cash grab by less than honest people that are not going to give you the whole story. They're going to hype up Bob is telling the truth. That's how you make the money. If you make a documentary showing what a scumbag and a con artist he is, you're not going to make very much money, unless you have the right connections. I mean, I honestly think if somebody did a documentary like I'm trying to do with the other half of the story showing what a scumbag and criminal and con artist Bob Lazar is, and it got on a major streaming platform like Netflix or something like that, then of course, yeah, it would reach a lot of people and probably make money. But just having it on a YouTube channel is probably not going to do it. Yeah, you're right. You're right, RoboNext 666. And I'm cautiously optimistic that I could finish it in time, but I'm apprehensive because it's a huge project. It's a huge project. And I know that I've made a few free documentaries. They're in our free documentary section, but I know that this has to be a higher level of quality and production. And so that's a whole thing. I do have the score and a whole bunch of music that I made just for this project. I've got probably 90 minutes of music that I made specifically for this project. But I've got, like I said, I've got 22 minutes of what would probably be an hour and a half documentary. So not lots of work left to do. So checking in with the goal, my friends, we are at 29 of 50. And we know that people are hearing the call of the goal. Like the MVP of support tonight, Colin Christensen, with another 5 and 1 for the goal. You see the latest episodes of Familia DSP. You have a cameo. Yeah, we played it. We played it on Monday night with I'm sorry. I've had such a rough week. When was the pig roast? Was the last pig roast? Okay, the last pig roast was yesterday. Yeah, we played that on yesterday's episode of True Seekers. You could check it out. And yeah, I want to thank that content creator for including me. It's so cool. I have been cartoonized multiple times since covering Dark Side Phil. And it's nice to be included. So yeah, where can I check your ones? And thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. God bless you, Colin Christensen. Much, much appreciated. Where can I check your music? I always tell people this. Go to the search bar of our YouTube channel and put in Stephen Cambion, The Phoenix Files, or put in A Very Dark Place. Or just put Phoenix Files or A Very Dark Place. There's a couple of my albums on our YouTube channel here. Yes, Lechero is great. And so is, I got them confused last night, and I apologize. Lechero made this La Familia DSP content, and then the other one that's great is Pigzar Animation. Pigzar Animation. So Lechero's great. Pigzar Animation. Shout out to both those guys. They do great stuff. All right. So we've done our due diligence on Jake Barber and the Skywatcher scam. And we've given you a little update on the new Bob Lazar cash grab. I would love to interview that filmmaker after that film comes out. But he knows, I'm sure he knows who I am. So he likely wouldn't agree to an interview. Because, I would like to just ask him, like, why do you think it's okay to just profit off of a fake convicted scientist pimp that never was a scientist and play along with him and pretend he was a scientist? Why do you think it's okay to not tell the viewers that his education is fake, that his wife was a convicted murderer, that he's a convicted pimp? He never would have been hired at any secret government project or for anybody reputable. He wasn't a real scientist. They vet people. He's not getting hired as a scientist. Why do you think it's okay to leave that out and just sell your product like it's a real story, you asshole? right? Yeah, I don't have high hopes for him coming on here. So next we're going to get to Dr. Stephen Greer, who is finally figured out that he could cash in on YouTube on his own channel big time and started his own podcast. Like, talk about late to the game, dude. You're like 20 years late to the podcasting game, but it is what it is. So here, I found a funny interview he did with this Michael Herrera, and this one's like an hour. We're not going to get through the whole hour. I'll be lucky to make it a half hour through this because it's bad. Well, it's slop, and I don't want to serve you too much slop. So this is the Stephen Greer podcast where he interviews this guy, Michael Herrera, and he just forgets. He just forgot that Michael Herrera's entire original story got busted as fake. For those unaware, Michael Herrera was in the military, and he claimed he saw a back-engineered flying saucer that was being used, first he said, in arms trafficking, weapons, but then later, child trafficking was really popping on the internet. So he changed the story to they were using these carts, these crates were people inside and loading them into this flying saucer. His commanding officer in the military came out and called this guy a complete and total bullshitter and said that that never happened. Everything he described never happened. And it was his commanding officer. He would know. But don't let something like facts and evidence get in the way of a good bullshit story you could sell. So here's Dr. Stephen Greer, who's been caught selling people flares as alien spaceships, who got caught trying to sell a deformed human fetus as an alien being, who's been caught multiple times selling completely and totally fake stories over and over and over again. He's one of the biggest UFO clown grifters that there ever was. But I will say this, he's become a multimillionaire from grifting UFO morons. And I love this. This guy, Michael Herrera, claims to be a military whistleblower, and he's blowing the whistle on aliens and UFOs. But he has to do a podcast interview with Dr. Stephen Greer, and he does it from his car. You know why he's doing podcasts from his car? Because he doesn't want his mother, who he lives with, to hear him talking this insane shit about aliens and UFOs and all of that. So he has to go, he lives with his mommy. He has to get in his car to do interviews so that his mother won't hear him talking about the aliens.
Michael Herrera, who we may remember from Dr. Greer's 2023 Disclosure Project anniversary event, where he first came forward in Washington, D.C. with an explosive story.
An explosive, completely and totally fake story. They're forgetting to tell you that the entire story he told at that event was refuted by his military commanding officer, who said that he's a pathological liar and a bullshitter. And his story is completely and totally fake. They're forgetting to tell you that. Little detail.
From 2009. Dr. Greer, it's great to be with you today.
Good to see you. Thanks for doing it. And
wow, he's bald.
Michael Herrera, thank you for taking your time to do this today. So, Mr. Herrera, why don't you tell us just really briefly what happened for people who haven't heard this account in 2009 when you were a Marine on a humanitarian mission to Indonesia.
Greer didn't get the memo. Why do you want to hear his story when his commanding officer came out and said that this whole story he's about to tell is fake? Why don't you tell your viewers that his commanding officer said that none of this ever happened?
Correct. So this again happened in 2009. I was called, at least with my team, to respond to a natural disaster. So originally the humanitarian mission was set in the Philippines, and my ship, which was the USS Denver, was rerouted to actually go onto the far western side of Padang or Sumatra, which is the western part of Indonesia. We then got a briefing that we were going to go basically secure a...
yeah, and his commanding officer said they were on a humanitarian mission, but all they did was like help the local villagers and stuff. None of this alien shit actually happened.
A LZ, or a landing zone, which was hastily done. We end up getting onto the bird,
Throw some
we're going to the objective.
Make it credible.
We disembarked the helicopter, made it on top of a hill, and when we looked at the hill and saw over the hill...
Oh, come on. These grifters, they've all got their ads turned up to annoyance level maximum. You don't even get 1 minute of the show before commercials. Come on, Grifter Greer. Jesus, Grifter Greer. Where are we at? Oh, here we are.
Sitting there, and it was rotating. It was changing colors, and it was like a light matte gray to like a dark matte black. You could tell it was constructed. It wasn't like a seamless object, for example. You could see the paneling and the fact it was
Nice
rotating.
illustrations.
When we decided to
story.
basically go down this hill is when a clearing started to open up, and we were in a tactical column, at least all 6 of us, and we were intercepted as soon as we could see this thing in its entirety. We were intercepted by a team of 8 operators who weren't wearing any kind of military rank insignia or military branch, anything that could be identifiable.
Why did your commanding officer say none of this shit ever happened then, Michael Herrera?
They were wearing a bunch of black gear. They had weapons similar to ours, but newer. They had some ACOGs. They had some PEC 16s, things like that. And they were kind of in a position to where they had interlocking fields of fire. So it basically take them nothing to basically smoke us. And as that was going on, we're seeing this craft in the background with this platform. Now, when they came up to us, they were standoff distance. They had their muzzles on us, and 2 of them began to basically search us one by one, stripped us of our weapons, of course, to make sure that we weren't chambering any rounds, and effectively disarming all of us so that way we weren't a risk. At the same time, they had a guy that was going around taking our military IDs out of our pockets and scanning them with this device. It was like a biometrics tracking system or something that was called
high-tech bullshit.
Bats that we have had access to, and we were training on it, but it was something a little bit more high-tech.
Oh, I see that one. Thank you, Tales of the Sonic Voyage, and very kind of you. I'd be happy to donate music for any projects you're working on at any time, Stephen. You've been a big inspiration. Email me at trueseekershow.com. Send me any instrumentals you have. Stuff without vocals. Unless you have stuff with vocals that would fit the Bob Lazar story, which I doubt. But thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity and long-time show support. Tales of the Sonic Voyage. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it immensely, and I appreciate the offer. And I'll take you up on that if you have some instrumentals, because, sometimes you just go through, keep the folder of instrumentals, and when you need a piece, you go through it. Which one will fit in here in this part I'm editing right now? It may work. Thank you, Tales of the Sonic Voyage. Big support tonight, my friends. And we are up to 30 of 50, 20 more to get to the overtime goal. We need 20 more super chats of any denomination to get to the overtime goal. And I've got something funny prepared for the overtime goal and another preview of the Internet Insanity Circus, which will be the kick.com only show, which will be debuting, I think, in the next couple of weeks. Got a little bit more to peck away on that project, but that'll be getting together soon. We're going to be doing this new show. It's not really related to Truth Seekers. It's more of a keynote type show. All the craziest stuff on the internet, and we'll be doing that on kick.com exclusive because YouTube would never allow this show. We've got foul-mouthed, crazy, cursing puppets. We've got dancing bitches. We've got it all. It's going to be an awesome show. So if we get to the overtime goal, I have a funny super soldier kind of person that we could check out, and then also a preview of the Internet Insanity Circus. 1 second. Let's get over there and continue. I don't know why I'm listening to this, because the fact that we're even his commanding officer, his CO, said that he just made this whole story up, and they were on a boring humanitarian mission. They saw no action. They saw no spaceship. They saw no UFO. And, his commanding officer would know, because he claims that it was his whole unit that saw this thing. One of the people in his unit was his commanding officer, who said none of this ever happened.
That wasn't working well for them, so they had something that was like a modern day cell phone. It was like a CAVCOM system that they were taking pictures of our IDs. They were threatening us the whole time. They were telling them they could kill us. They were kind of roughing us up in the process.
Thank you for your
support. As this is going on, we're also paying attention to these guys. We're also seeing what's going on in the background. And in the background, there's some trucks that are coming up, 4 trucks, could be F-350s, it could be Tundras. They didn't have any kind of logos on them either, but they were blacked out. And they were pulling these trailers that had these containers, which were almost like a shipping container, but had a HVAC system on the top part of it, kind of closer to the front.
Yeah, I think first he said they were smuggling drugs, then they were smuggling guns, then it was human trafficking. There was people in those containers.
And
hallmark of a liar is they can't keep their story straight.
4 of these trucks were basically loading onto this platform to basically take these containers and load them up there. When I had first came forward, my story had basically was about drug running, because that's what I had hypothesized. I know Dr. Greer has heard this in accounts like this very extensively through the time he's been doing this for 30 years. So that's what I thought it initially was, until I met Jake Barber, who says that it wasn't drugs, it was people that they had in these containers, that they were basically...
Yeah. Here is the super duper prover maneuver. You use one wackadoo, or the wackadoo prover maneuver. You have one wackadoo who has no evidence, who contributes to the story of another wackadoo who has no evidence. And somehow this is supposed to make the story more credible. Well, this Jake Barber, he was in the military. Yeah, this is the guy who lied about being special forces, essentially, and being so important in the military. It turns out that he was basically a helicopter maintenance worker. He was an aviation maintenance worker, like the janitor of the hangars.
Recruiting into a Psionic program for these black programs, which is a P3.
Oh, those containers were all filled with left-handed gay dudes that could summon aliens, and they were being human trafficked. Boy, this story's getting deep.
Which is Psionic predisposition potential, is what that stands for. Or it could be Psionic Psionic potential predispositions the other way too.
Wow, it's PPP. Does PPP know that his username really means psionic? What is it? Psionic potential? Psionic predisposition potential. That's what PPP stands for.
So you guys will kind of see it both ways. But essentially what that is they're picking up people from disaster zones and allowing them to basically, if they have these skill sets and they're able to do that, that they get plucked into these programs where they're given money, they participate, they do what they're supposed to be doing, of course, which is what Dr. Greer and I found out was using them on some of these testing sites to basically call in craft, and then they were being targeted and shot down with longitudinal weapons that were made from scalar technologies, right? So faster than the speed of light, that was taking these craft down, and that's when Jake's team would basically go recover the vehicles with the occupants in them and take them to a secured location.
Right, and those were extraterrestrial vehicles or non-human. Yes. One of the interesting things about that is we can, show the schematic. Didn't you say you thought that was about?
Are you looking for the
the grifter? God, these grifters. I didn't have time to mirror this one. I apologize, friends. I got to start making time for that. It's annoying to me, so I know it's annoying to the audience, so I apologize. UFO grifters, they all have their ads turned up to maximum.
Yeah, 300 feet is what
We're 5 minutes in, 2 commercials already.
Estimate, and it was pretty big. I've never seen anything that big that can move just like that. I mean, it was silent. It didn't make any noise, didn't break any sound.
I love how they always have these really cool illustrations because, why would you take a picture, right? Why would you have pictures or actual documented evidence?
Areas that didn't disturb.
Just draw it later.
The vegetation.
Illustrations make the UFO world go round, man.
It was very creepy. And as far as the construction, you could tell it was man-made.
Right.
It had paneling on it. It had things that was like constructed out of an aerospace program. I mean, you can tell that it wasn't.
How does he know if it was man-made? If you saw that, would your first thought be, well, that's man-made?
Like a one solid piece. It just looked very abstract, but it looked something that was basically like a what you would see in a classified program.
Right. And why don't you describe also how you guys saw it take off and the speed of it?
Right. So they were kind of close to getting wrapped up on searching us. And I only counted 4 trucks that were basically coming up and going onto that platform with these containers on them. And as soon as the last truck, basically, I don't know where the trucks went. I don't think they stayed on that platform. They could have driven off on the other side, because I don't remember seeing the trucks on that platform. But all of a sudden, something caught my eye in the background, and the platform that they were driving onto levitated off the ground.
Oh,
it met the craft halfway, became to one solid piece. Then it moved up past the tree lines. As soon as it moved past the tree line, it shot over to the left towards the ocean, thousands of miles per hour instantaneously without any kind of,
how does it thousands of
rotor
miles
wash, exhaust wash, nothing to disturb the trees or the coconuts, no sound barrier broken, with a sonic boom. There was nothing that this thing could essentially elicit that it was there besides seeing it visually. You couldn't hear it. It was weightless, even though it was sitting there hovering. It just seemed like it was weightless, even though it was set in stone, if that makes sense.
Yep. And this craft is a more modern version, let's say. If you look at our archive, the Disclosure Project Intelligence Archive, epiarchive.com, you can go and look at this. There's something called was initially called the ARV, Alien Reproduction Vehicle.
And that came from another UFO fraudster named Mark McCandlish, who died penniless and committed suicide tragically because he couldn't make a living selling his alien bullshit. So again, we're using one bullshitter with no evidence to back up the story of another bullshitter with no evidence. Very common in the UFO field.
From the late 50s, early 60s. And there were 3 of them seen in a hangar at an air show in California.
Faster than the speed of light.
In Norton Air Force Base, which is now closed. And there was, there was the little one.
Chill Station
that was
7.
about 25, 30 feet across. There was one that was about
Hearing
50.
the call of the goal asking, why does Greer look like Patrick Starr in this clip? Yeah, I don't know. No idea, Chill Station 7, why he looks that way. But thank you for your kindness and continued support. Big show support from Chill Station 7 tonight. God bless you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Much, much appreciated. Praise to cash, bitches. Let's continue on our journey of UFO bullshit.
Feet wide and one about 100 feet. So the one you saw would have been 3 times the largest one. But interestingly, the man that had been inside that craft at the air show, Brad Sorensen, in a interview we have that he did with an aerospace journalist that never got published, but we have the whole transcript. He described the interior components, I
don't know that that's true. I don't know that Brad Sorensen has ever corroborated the story of Mark McCandlish. For those unaware, Mark McCandlish was telling the story secondhand, claiming that his friend, Brad Sorensen, went to this air show where they were showing top secret classified technology and saw these so-called alien reproduction vehicles.
Era as the Mercury space program, meaning the late 50s, early 1960s. So now fast forward to 2009, you see this craft. It's also man-made, and very likely made by the Lockheed Skunk Works. Could be EG&G or
all speculation.
Northrop Grumman, but most of the ones that are cylindrical, circular.
He has no proof that Northrop Grumman or anybody else is making alien reproduction vehicles.
Tend to be the Lockheed Skunk Works. And by the way, you're the only person I've ever heard about who's been that close to a mission like that, where they're
look at this. Again, that's an illustration.
They're trafficking in people or drugs that have not been killed. And I have researched a number of these cases.
Oh man, we're only going to do 5 more minutes of this. This is brutal.
And
so far, they've used the wackadoo prover maneuver twice. Jake Barber backs up Michael Herrera's story. Somehow, Mark McCandlish, who's dead, backs up his story too, because he saw a similar craft or promoted a similar. Come on. Oh, Jesus. God, these grifters are killing me. Killing me. One moment. And I get it. Please don't tell me about countermeasures because YouTube doesn't like it. I'm not allowed to use those things. The best that I could do is mirror them on my own channel, unmonetized, so that we don't have to see the ads.
University of Colorado
I should have
Boulder,
done that.
I think at the law school, and you had come up to me and gave me your card some years ago, but or I gave you mine, I can't remember. And you know what I always remind people of is that event initially, only because Jake Barber, who had operated at a facility where they were using these human captives / recruits to be the P3 operators, he immediately recognized them as that. And because he has been read in the programs where that's been done. And many times it's a bit of a predatory program where they'll go to a disaster area.
I love how they're
connect
always
the dot here, or an area that's war-torn.
They're always accusing people of all these crimes, but yet they can't prove that these people are operating these illegal operations.
Tell people, well, you're going to die here anyway, but you can come with us and you'll be in this program. What's left out of that narrative is, and this has been shared with us by people on that team that are still alive and operational, is that a large number of those men, women, children that are recruited.
I forgot to mention too, pinned in the live chat is the Truth Seekers Clips channel. Well, pinned in the YouTube live chat. I'm going to go over to the kick.com chat and put it in there as well. We're trying to start this clip channel. Need to get it monetized. I'm just going to put subscribe here. Subscribe here. All right, I've put it in the Kick chat as well. And welcome to the Kick chat. We'll do some shout outs over there. Welcome Phantom Money. Welcome Jake Raz. Welcome Eddie Chili Real. Welcome Scopely CFO. Welcome Heavy Kevy 5555. Welcome Winter's Soldier. God's Silent Silliest Goose. I hope I got all of you. Thank you all for your kindness and being in the live chat. And let's get some subs over there. Let's continue our journey of bullshitery.
End up dying when they're put into the program where they're put on a lot of drugs and a lot of electromagnetic systems to try to augment their remote viewing and telepathic capabilities. A very significant number of them go into comas or end up dying. Now, the ones who don't even pass muster for that end up working in these underground facilities and covert facilities. And of course, they'll make the point they're well taken care of, but to me, that's beside the point. This is clearly exploitive and human trafficking being done under the aegis of national security, and also a very inhumane program just because of the brutality of the training of these P3 operators. So now I think what we want to, I know there's a lot to unpack, you need to go soon, but what happened when you got back on your ship? Wasn't there, you went through a bunch of intimidation, right?
So it wasn't on the ship. So what ended up happening is we ended up going to Subic Bay, that was in the Philippines, to basically reattach back to the 7th Fleet.
CO said none of this shit that he's talking about happened.
First night of Liberty, we ended up going out into town, and we had to report back, I think, at 10 o'clock of the ship in order to have a head count, and then basically go to sleep and then wake up and go do the same thing again. That first night I got back, I had my camera secured in my locker. I had a Panasonic camera. I know a lot of people have heard the story, where I had it in my dump pouch and they never checked my dump pouch because it wasn't a big camera. It wasn't bulky. It was pretty slim, and it was a Panasonic one, and it didn't stick or make any kind of impression on my dump pouch. So when I had gotten back, I was like, okay, nobody knows that I had this except for us on top of the hill, which is where I snuck some pictures and took some video of this thing before we decided to go down. And I got back that night. My camera was on my rack, the memory card was pulled out of it, and the battery was pulled out of it, and this was secured in my locker.
Very convenient excuse for why he has no pictures, no video, and no proof or evidence of his fantastical story of seeing a flying saucer.
By the way, which my lock was untouched. All the other guys that were with me had all their phones taken. So they had those taken out of their stuff. And when we got back to Japan, it had been a month after that ordeal that happened.
Well, that's
we
why
basically, I got called up to the CP, which is a command post.
Arlene Atkins says, I wonder how real Marines feel about this clown. this fool. That's why the commanding officer came out against him, because he says it makes us all look like silly retards, honestly. So the commanding officer is a career military Marine man, came out against him because he doesn't like him. He basically said, Arlene, that this guy Michael is using his military short stint in the military to sell fake bullshit conspiracy stories, and he didn't like it, so he came out against him. Just a few more minutes.
And there was nobody there. There was a gentleman there that was an Air Force officer, as a lieutenant colonel. He didn't have a name tag on his dress blues, which is a requirement for people in the Air Force. You must have a name tag. It's a part of your uniform regulation. He didn't have that. So I had given him a proper greeting of the day, rendered a salute, and then he had pulled me into an office and basically sat me down and slid me a piece of paper that basically says you're going to sign this, and the only things I can see, excuse me, that I can recall seeing on that was TSS, excuse me, TSSCI, and it had Indonesia. Those are the only two things I can recount. They told I needed to put my social on there. I put my first, middle, and last name, and basically he said, if I talk about this, I can go to prison or I could be executed for treason.
He could be executed for treason. Oh, so dramatic.
Things like that.
Too bad. If your commanding officer was with you and also saw this, he would have been threatened similarly to you, and yet he says that none of this happened, Michael Herrera. You liar, you scumbag. And of course, Greer is lapping this up. Oh, I could sell this to my moron followers. This is a great story. Let's get some illustrations made of it.
So I don't remember specifically what he said, but he said that basically along the lines that we would either go to prison or be killed. And that's
right.
That's
and that, by
happened.
the way, that I want to point out, this is a typical story. I guess the other 5 people in your platoon who are Marines had to do the same thing.
Yes, they did. Yep.
Yep.
About your CO.
So a couple points here. First of all, that
Never
whole
happened,
operation
Michael.
was illegal black program.
Oh, here we go. It's illegal black program time. This is a Greer talking point that he uses constantly.
Having dealt with people in the presidency and the Congress and senior people at the Pentagon, I can assure folks that they have no idea that these craft exist and they're being used in these
operated
horrific
above
fashion,
top secret
such
or
as
whatever.
these kidnappings and human trafficking and experimentation of humans. The other point I want to make is because those programs are illegal and unconstitutional, they're using the cover of national security to commit crimes.
Oh, God.
In a sense,
this
it's worse than a civilian criminal
accusing people
network
of all these
because
terrible crimes.
if you
He
have
never
the
proves any
power
of it.
of the national
Never
security,
proves any
a
of
top secret clearance, to commit atrocities and crimes in the name of the United States or any other government. I view that abuse of power as another level of criminal culpability, even beyond the act itself.
Oh, man.
Because it's a betrayal of the trust of the people and military folks like yourself who fall prey.
Yeah, so Greer has been accusing people of all this illegal activity surrounding secrecy of UFOs and aliens. He's never proven anything. And for him to constantly be accusing people of criminal activity but never proving it, while he himself is selling people flares as alien spaceships, is laughable. You're the criminal, Greer. You're a consumer fraud person. You sell people an app for $10 and claim that they can summon alien spaceships and aliens. It doesn't work.
To that abuse of national security authorizations.
Well, and that's just it too, is, there have been a lot of people that have came forward on the back end of things talking about similar instances of not just military intervention, but the fact that humans have the possession of this kind of technology and have been reverse engineering it for years.
Again, these guys love to make statements of fact, right? Humans have this technology and we've been back engineering it for years. The fact, and he prefaced his comment, he said, the fact that, he's saying that that's a fact, that humans have an alien technology and we've been back engineering it for years.
Similar instances of not just military intervention, but the fact that humans have this possession of this kind of technology and have been reverse engineering it for years.
Right.
And that's the biggest secret, is they don't want people to know that. They would rather people think it's ET because that's the easiest way to put
the fact that we have this alien technology. Well, you're putting facts and evidence without evidence to support that those are facts. That's a problem.
the narrative together, as opposed to saying, yes, for the last 80 to 100 years that we've had this technology. Then they have to explain why we have fossil fuels. Why are we still depending on stuff like that? Our medical technology could be further advanced compared to what is right now. And I know you know all about that too, with what you've seen several times.
Yeah, oh yeah. And let's pivot to what happened. Eventually we connected, brought you over to the Senate Intelligence and Armed Services Committee people, and you provided that information to them a couple years ago in 2023, and then they took you over to
Reptilians have asked Greer to be a runway model on their planet.
And let's talk about that, because we're going to put in here
yes,
the
he's got AI art to prove it.
You put together.
That's actually not AI.
Intelligence.
I know Michael Stratt's illustrators.
I've been working with, but also
they don't use AI.
What you gave to
they use 3D modeling and stuff.
Dr. Kirkpatrick. So why don't you go through that, and then what happened in terms of how that got
sunburned by picking coconuts?
Yeah, so April timeframe, I end up 2023. I got a hold of you, and I still had your card. I had that in my wallet for years. I mean, because when you came down to Colorado, it was 2018. So up until that point, I'd watched your interview with Sean Ryan and was like, okay, if they've got these provisions passed, they're going to help us, then this is the time to actually do it, because it needs to be told. It needed to be heard.
Right.
And that ended up.
Oh, all right. That's it. I can't take any more. One moment. Let me bounce that down. So we've done our due diligence. So the point is that the fact that Stephen Greer is still interviewing him, this is the most recent interview on Greer's podcast, and it comes months and months and months after this guy's entire story was busted as fake. The fact that Greer hasn't acknowledged it shows you that he's not an honest operator. Like, what if Greer really wanted the truth and really wanted to give his audience the truth, and somebody came along and told the bullshit story, and then it was 100% unequivocally proven that that guy's story was bullshit? Wouldn't somebody that was honestly after the truth tell their audience the truth? Why would he not acknowledge that this guy's story got completely and totally busted? Well, it's called money. He needs wackadoos like this to interview and feed the disclosure boner bros fake stories. So what he's going to play along. That's a big part of the UFO grift. Everybody's just playing along. Everybody's just playing along, and it is what it is. How did this light go out? Pardon me. There we go. My set's dark enough. I can't have one of those backlights go off. Gemma is here. Now it's a party. Thank you for coming and saving us from the sausage party that this is usually. Gemma Jackson, always happy to see you and all the ladies in the house. And I'd like to remind all the gentlemen to please be kind to the female audience members so they keep coming here. We want them to feel welcome. So try not to be too crude or rude or whatever. We want to keep them coming here and avoid the usual sausage party. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I lost my dog Monday. He was 15, so it's been a rough week. Oh, that is the worst, Gemma. That is the worst thing. That is the worst thing. It's like losing a family member, right? 15 years you had him. God bless him. And I hope that it's true what people say, Gemma Jackson, all dogs go to heaven. I believe that. I guess except for nasty ones that, like pit bulls that kill somebody. I don't think those dogs go to heaven, but every other dog does, right? Yeah, my wife and I are getting a little concerned because our Baxter is getting up there in age, and he was a little lost dog that just showed up at my mother-in-law's house, and we tried to find his owners for a long, long time, couldn't find his owners, decided to keep him. He is an awesome dog. He's very good with my children. He's very loving with both my children. And my autistic son can get a little grabby, and he tolerates him just fine, So sorry to hear about the loss of your puppy. We'll all say a prayer that he went to doggy heaven, where all dogs probably go. Well, yeah, but I'm woke on the pit bull question. If you say so, how many pit bulls have you owned? Because, see, this is why you don't speak in ignorance. I once raised a pit bull from a 2-day-old puppy whose mother died, and I bottle fed that pit bull, and I loved that pit bull. I was a child. I love that pit bull. I woke up 3 times in the night to feed that pit bull puppy formula that, my dad got some kind of formula from the vet, and we were feeding it from a bottle. And I love that dog, and I was kind to that dog, and I tried to train the dog, and eventually the dog bit me, viciously bit me. And that's a dog I raised from a bottle as it was 1 or 2 days old when its mother died suddenly. So I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, and what I was saying is, all dogs go to heaven, but probably not the pit bulls that kill people. Are you going to deny that pit bulls have killed people? There's stories in the news all the time about it. But I understand some people are pit bull supporters and say, oh no, it's the way the dog is raised. My personal experience is that pit bulls are very aggressive, and nature versus nurture. I don't think, people say, oh, the ones that attack people were raised wrong, or they were, used in dog fighting rings or what. No. There's stories like mine all over if you look. But, if you choose to have a pit bull, good for you. I have children. I would never have a pit bull in my home. Not with children. Never. Absolutely 100% never. Now, conversely, I had a very bad experience with that pit bull who bit me. And by the way, I tried to hide the fact that the dog bit me, broke the skin, made me bleed badly, bit me. Basically, the dog mauled me. And I hid that from my parents, or I tried to, but my mother saw me get in a bath or something and saw the basically scar on my leg. And then the dog bit me again. And then my dad, that's it. He took the dog. And to this day, I was very young. I don't know if my father, all I've heard is that he took it for a ride. I don't know if that meant ride to be put down, or if my father just took it somewhere and let it out of the car. I don't know. I don't know whatever happened to that dog, but God bless it. I really did try to love that dog. And, when I was that young, there wasn't as much information about how aggressive pit bulls can be, but I really did try my best. I loved that dog. I was always kind to it. I was never mean to it. I was always petting him and taking him for walks and, whatever. It seemed to be as soon as the dog got full grown, it got very aggressive. And by the way, it wasn't just me that it bit or tried to bite. Tried to bite my brother, tried to bite my cousin, but I was so attached to that dog, having raised it from a little tiny, it looked like a gopher or something, a little gopher. And I could hold it in one hand when I got it. But as soon as it got full grown, it got very aggressive and tried to bite me multiple times. Did bite me a couple of times, bit my brother, bit my cousins, tried to bite the neighbor kid who was visiting at my house, but believe what you will. I inform myself from my own personal opinion, and having children, I won't have a very big aggressive dog in my home ever while I have children. I probably will never, because my son's autistic and he can get a little grabby with animals. And so I would just never have a big aggressive dog. However, I did have a Rottweiler who was the polar opposite. That dog was a big baby. He was a big Rottweiler, and he was a complete and total baby. But he was very, very aggressive. My wife used to laugh because, I could not touch my wife around the dog. Like if I laid on my wife's lap on the couch, the dog would get all upset and get between us. He was very protective of her, but he was a great watchdog. And living in the inner city, I liked having that dog in the home, but that was before my children. He passed away shortly after my first son was born. But I liked having him in the home, because if I wasn't home, I knew that if anybody ever tried to break in my house or God forbid, do something to my wife, he would eat them. He would kill them. He was very, very protective of her. So I'm checking in with the goal, but I don't think we're quite there. We're 32 of 50, but I'm okay with that because quite honestly, I've had a very, very long day. And Kaida is here. I was just saying Gemma Jackson was saving us from the sausage party. Thank you for saving us from the sausage party. Now, chows, nearly every single one tried to bite, and they go for your neck and face. Yeah, I've heard those are very dangerous too. Those are very, very dangerous too. My father wanted to breed dogs, and that was one of the dogs he wanted to breed because of the price of them until he found out how aggressive they were. And then, I don't know, my father tried to raise Shar-Peis for a while, and that was a nightmare. And the Shar-Peis, I think he bought 2 or 3 of them, and every one of them would run out the door, and then me and my brother would have to be walking around the neighborhood for days on end, weeks on end, looking for the dog. We hated those dogs, but he was trying to start a business or, get some extra money. So it seemed like a good idea. You just get a couple of dogs and let them do their thing. Yeah. But thank you for being here. And Kaida, thanks everybody for being here. So we have done our due diligence. And even though we didn't hit our goal, we're still in a good position to continue UFO coverage. I will not wage quit UFOs like a certain scumbag, video game streamer, right? And I will just take one moment to check in. I have a check-in with Buy Me a Coffee and with PayPal. Those are all the ways that you could support us. It's in the description of the video. We appreciate that. And Initials WP bought me a beer, but didn't give me their chat room user ID. And they say, "Suffer, piggy. Hope we can count this for the goal." Thank you very much for your kindness, generosity, and support. Big support over on Buy Me a Coffee. We appreciate you. Thanks for appreciating us. And if you send me your chat room user ID, email me at trueseekershow@gmail.com. I'll thank you by your user ID once again. I don't know that you want me giving out your full name, so I'm not going to do that. But thank you for the support on Buy Me a Coffee, and we'll check in with the PayPal pledges. And while I do that, I just want to take a moment to thank you kind and generous benefactors, you Patreon supporters, you YouTube channel members, you Kick subscribers, you people gifting subscriptions on Kick, you people gifting YouTube channel memberships, you super chatter people, super thanks people. Did you know that? Even if you're watching a replay, you can hit that thanks button and you can support the show. I thank every person that does that when I see those. And we want to thank you PayPal pledgers as well. And we've got a kind and generous $50 PayPal pledge. Very kind and generous, big support from Maria, who says, one second. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Oh, that's the right one. Maria says, "I'm really starting to not like this Dark Side Phil guy. He's just as bad as all the UFO grifters you cover, but scummier." Well, thanks for putting a smile on my face, Maria, and thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. She's a longtime show supporter and MVP of PayPal pledges. We thank you for your kind and generous contribution. And God bless you for your generosity. Jay Williams is hearing the call of the goal. What is the current deal with alien abductions? Well, things go in trends. And in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was an awful lot of people saying they were abducted by aliens. Then the 90s came along and it was less and less. The 2000s came along, it was much, much less. I don't know. It's like the aliens stopped kidnapping people, Jay Williams, because it was a huge lot of people saying that they were abducted by aliens for a long, long time. And then it kind of fell by the wayside. And one of the reasons for that is that I believe one of the reasons for you not hearing about alien abductions very much anymore is because some of the major so-called researchers pushing the alien abduction stuff are all dead. And once they died, nobody really picked up the grift mantle. But don't worry, Jay Williams. I'm sure that somebody will. And thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. So, my friends, I believe we've done our due diligence. Now, tomorrow night, I have a choice to make. I can cover another paranormal or UFO story, or we can snipe Darkside Phil's stream and see who the new co-host of Smart Guys is. I'm leaning towards doing that. But we've already done one Phil show, so it feels a little much to do another this week. I don't really want to talk about that guy for a whole nother night. But the bags are fat, so I might have to do that. And before I forget, let me say one more time, we're trying to get this Truth Seekers Clips channel monetized. So pinned in the live chat over on Kick and on YouTube is the link to our Truth Seekers Clips channel. Please go there, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I've been a little busy, but I promise I will be uploading more clips this weekend. I got a bunch ready. I just have to upload them. And also, I will take a moment to remind you about our Truth Seekers Classic series, which, one second. That's weird. Is it going to let me do that? Oh, yeah. Okay. So we have quite a marathon set up for this weekend. And thanks to the people who participated in the marathon last weekend, but I foolishly forgot to mention something very important, which is I know people want their super chats read on air, but these are premieres that are cobbled together from previous episodes of Truth Seekers. So this weekend coming up, we have Project Scam-A-Lot and Crazy Carrie Cassidy, a deep dive. We've got Anjali John Ramirez and the CIA Circus. It's all about the CIA's infiltration and intelligence operatives' infiltration into the UFO community. Something's very strange that not many people talk about. We've got a not-so-brief history of the people promoting David Grush. We've got UFO Crashes, a deep dive 4-part special with special guest Michael Schratt. We've got the Dybbuk Box, a 3-part deep dive into the demonic box. And of course, we've got my favorite fake psychics, Uri Geller, Sylvia Brown, and more. All that will be premiering all weekend while I'm trying to build a cabin. And as I was saying, I know people want their super chats read, but I don't want you to be shy this weekend with sending the super chats. If I'm around, I'll be checking in with the live chat. I will thank you for your super chat with a text message if I see it and I'm around. I can't guarantee I will be. But what I can guarantee is that when I return to the next live show on Monday, I will read every single super chat that anybody sends during this weekend blitz of content. And some of these deep dives are 12 hours long or 8 hours long, so quite a lot of content. And there's 2 reasons we do this. One, it generates a little bit of extra ad revenue for us. Hopefully, we'll get a little bit of support in the form of super chats, super sticker, whatever, people joining and becoming members, PayPal pledges, buy me a coffee, whatever you'd like to do to support. And this is YouTube only. These don't go on Kick, so please come to the YouTube channel for these. Hopefully we get a little bit of support and they generate a little extra money. And the other thing is because the other reason I do this is because we have a huge archive of material, and being a live stream show, people come to the live streams and they forget that we have hundreds and hundreds of hours of some really fantastic material. This UFO Crashes special, if you're interested in UFOs, we go through all the most famous UFO crash cases and sort of come to an understanding. Is this really a true story or is this bullshit? Spoiler alert, most of them are bullshit. But the Dybbuk Box I really enjoyed. That's a creepy paranormal story. And then my favorite fake psychics, we just felt these fake psychics so bad. We show their, getting things completely and totally wrong and stuttering and backpedaling. We catch them in the act of fakery. So this is really good material that just kind of gets lost. And honestly, some of this is from when I first started the show. They got almost no views when I started. But now that we have an audience, it's still some great material. So I hope you're feeling generous this weekend and you will support this stuff. It really does help the show and it helps the channel and it helps me. And we're thankful for your help and assistance. So I'm going to check in with the Kick. I'm going to check in, make sure we don't miss any of the Kick subscribers or Kick gifted memberships. No, I think we got them all. All right. So, and we thank you for the support on Kick. Big ups to the Kick viewers. Like I said, I get an extra paycheck. You got to love it. So I will be back tomorrow night. I'm not sure what time, but probably 9 p.m. Jay Williams says, where is Anjali? Well, she's still grifting. You know, she's still trying to push her alien contact shit, but we busted her entire story. She's lost all of her. She had a huge following at one point before we busted her and proved her entire original story was fake. So now, I mean, she still has a little bit of following, but she's not even worth me covering anymore because nobody cares about her after her original story got busted as fake. And but she's grifting with another CIA guy, and we there's during the replays this weekend you'll see a story about that, and it's so funny because she acts like oh, did the timer run out? Yeah, I guess maybe it did. Yeah, are we at? Yeah, the timer ran out. We're over 3 hours. So we didn't get to the goal in time, but that's okay. We thank you all for the kindness, generosity, and support. We got close. And hey, close counts in horseshoes and hand grenades should count for goals too. But I'm never, I'm not Dark Side Phil. I'm not going to start twisting everybody's arm and begging to get the other 10 or 15 super chats to hit the goal. I set the goal a little higher than I actually need, optimistic thinking. So even if we get close, we're okay. And I always say this, like I have multiple sources of income, so if I have a tough night on the show with not much support, I'm not going to complain to my audience like, you guys didn't give me enough money. I'm not doing any more shows until you support more, whatever. Although I did honestly talk about the situation with the UFO coverage, it just doesn't get. I could do a drama show and get 10 times the support, or twice or 3 times at least the money. People love the drama, but we have to have a good balance. I like doing the UFO shows. It's a big interest of mine, and we've been the de facto buster of grifter, scammer, UFO clowns for years on YouTube, and we want to continue that journey. I'm glad buying meth. Yeah, I will buy meth no matter what. Thank you. Yeah, no, never done meth. No desire to. I've never been an uppers guy. I've always been a, chill guy. That's me. So we've done our due diligence. I'll be back tomorrow night, most likely at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion. Be sure to visit our website. It's truthseekershow.com. There you can get all the latest episodes, whether you want the video version or the audio podcast version. They're all there. And be sure and come back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But like I said, follow me on Twitter because things change. I always post the shows on Twitter X a little bit before, a few hours before at least, so you'll get some notice. Also, if you like, be sure to join our Discord server where you can chat with like-minded people from our YouTube community and Kick community and audio podcast community. Everybody's in there. You should be too. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Dark corners of the night, secrets hidden from the light. Whispers turn to screams, shattering all your dreams. Eyes wide open now, truth you can't disavow. Echoes through the halls, crashing all your walls. Truth seekers, exposing the truth. Truth seekers, coming for you. Uncover the lies, open your eyes. Shadows try to hide, no place for them to bide. Light will pierce you through, reveal what is true. Running from your fears, can't escape the seers. Truth will hunt you
into my body. I was spontaneously healed. After I came back into my body. I was spontaneously healed. After I came back into my body. I was spontaneously healed. After I came back into my body. I was spontaneously healed. Blew his head off.
That's real. Don't talk to George now. That's real. That's real. Don't talk to George now. That's real. So now, you know. So now, you know. Shape the emerging UAP narrative. Remember those words. Shape the emerging UAP narrative. Remember those words. Shape the emerging UAP narrative. Remember those words. Shape the emerging UAP narrative. Remember those words, folks. Those words. Shape. 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 Remember those words. I'm an intel guy. 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 Masses. Yeah. Shape it. Shape it. Shape it. Shape it. Masses. Yeah. Shape it. Shape it. Shape it. Shape it. That's real. Don't talk to George now. That's real. That's real. Don't talk to George now. That's real. So now, you know. So now, you know.